It's time. After 4 hotly contested rounds throughout Europe and the US, we arrive in the Middle East with everything on the line and all to be decided in a place like no other. On a course unique in every aspect, a new sporting hub on the shores of the Red Sea. $1.4 million will be handed out today. It is grand final time. Super League Triathlon NEOM is here.
Being in a Super League race is like being in a fight with a bear.
Intense, high pressured.
It rips you apart.
The fight's real from the start.
It burns your lungs.
Willing to put everything on the line.
The pace and intensity is way higher than any other triathlon discipline.
Oh, there's a crash at the back.
The best athletes in the world.
Winning is addictive. There's no better feeling.
This is what Super League racing is all about.
This is the future of professional triathlon. If you don't see that, then you're not paying attention.
There is not much that is familiar about racing in NEOM. Everything here is new as the region begins to realise its vision as a world-class sporting destination. But one thing we can rely on is the format. The favourite of many of the 40 superstar athletes gathered here, it's the Enduro. 3 back-to-back triathlons, non-stop, 8 transitions with extra championship points on offer, 20 for the winner, decreasing by 2 for the top 5, leaving the titles races wide open, especially in the women's. As usual, 3 short shoots are in play and earned for the team on the opening swim, bike and run, plus the season-long battle for the swim, bike and run disciplines will be decided. One last race course. Time for Tim Don to take us on a trip around NEOM.
The Super League Grand Final. There's endurance and then there's the Super League Enduro. The swim starts with a run-in. The warm, hot Red Sea. The wind is a desert wind. You get to the first buoy, you turn right into the chop, the wind picks up that sea. Head to shore, through transition. A 1-lap, 4-kilometre bike course. This is where the uniqueness starts. The first 800 metres are on gravel. That's right, gravel. They hit the tarmac, the U-turn, looking behind, seeing if they're in front or they have to chase. Hot dog, hard left, back onto the gravel, down the hill. This is where you're going to have a tailwind, speeds will be high, nerves of steel are going to take people through. They do a U-turn, run back against the flow. This is when the heat will first hit. Up the hill, into the headwind, you hit the 180, run down the hill, back to transition. The race isn't over, it's the Enduro. You have to do it 2 more times. 5 races, 5 countries to crown the Super League Triathlon Series champion here in NEOM.
How good is a Tim Don course guide? Not long now until the women's grand final gets underway. And how about the leaderboard? It's the tale of 2 tailors at the top of the table, but there is so much more to be decided. Sophie Coldwell holding the cards in the race for the podium spot. So let's look now at the key matchups that will define this race. After all this racing, it turns out 56 is the magic number, and both Georgia Taylor-Brown and Taylor Spivey are on it, giving us a straight shootout in the sand for the SLT Championship title. Does the Boguslavski Trophy travel to the UK or the US? Then there's the race for the podium. 3rd through 7th are separated by 8 points, and with extra points on offer, it is wide open, with Sophie Coldwell in the box seat after her efforts in Toulouse. But this is SLT, so you know there's more. The quickest 1-lap swimmers, riders and runners across the season pick up 15 grand and the race is on. In the swim, it's Cassandra Beaugrand holding a slender lead over Sian Rainsley. Rainsley was quicker last time out. Can she steal it? Emma Jeffcoat was the fastest on 2 wheels in France. Another effort like that and the Aussie just might upset bike leader Taylor Brown. And on the run, again, a slight lead to Beaugrand, this time over the flying Scot Beth Potter. So much to watch out for, races within races, and it all starts right now. That's right, it is time, and there is one of the most unique shots you will see in World Triathlon. My name is Will McLoyne, alongside me Vicky Holland for this one, and the Rhinos led out by Nat Van Covenden into the desert air, into the desert heat, and for a experience, Vicky, that no one has ever seen before.
This is a truly, truly unique race course, race site, and we'll only see it develop over the years as we continue to come back to NEOM, I'm sure, but a really interesting experience for all the athletes here today.
Taylor Spivey, one of the championship contenders, taking on Georgia Taylor-Brown. The pair of them, as they put up the Rhino horns on 56 points, and Taylor Spivey, by her own admission, a little bit unwell in the days leading up to this race. It has been a difficult transit over here, but she will always, she says that a lot. She always seems to fire, doesn't she?
She does seem to put herself down a little bit before races and seems to be surprised when she pulls out great results, and she does it frequently.
Non-Stanford about to come out, and there is the big smile. The last race for Non-Stanford, former world champion, Olympian as well, and soaking up every minute of it, and you know her very well, Vix.
Of course, retiring here today as she moves on to a new career in coaching, so an absolute superstar of the sport. She'll be missed on the race course, but she will be a credit to the coaching team, I'm sure.
Well, if you come back, then maybe she'll be coaching you.
Well, that's a thought.
That is a thought. I hadn't thought about that, had you? There is Sophie Caldwell, who leads the race for the podium. She's on 39 points as the Cheetahs. They're down one. Laura Lindemann, unfortunately, couldn't be with us. The Scorpions, they'll be looking for big points from Cassandra Beaugrand and from Georgia Taylor-Brown. Beaugrand, supreme swimmer, leads the swim discipline, also leads the run discipline. She hasn't been beaten in any run. She'd be figuring more in the overall, I suppose, if she hadn't have missed the Malibu round.
Of course, and we've also got Emma Jeffcoat there, who has earned great points for the team as well, especially on the bike and swim legs. So great points scoring team here, and they really need to do that to try and leapfrog back in front of the Sharks, who are currently leading.
That's right. The Sharks men are excellent, and in the same way the Scorpions women are excellent. But the Sharks women, well, they have some big point scorers as well amongst them. Kate Woff, and there is Beth Potter, who hasn't probably been up to her high standards, has to be said, as Nicole van der Kay of New Zealand comes out. But Potter will be looking to steal that run at the very least today. Yeah,
she'll definitely be looking to try and nab that run preem and to get that overall run points jersey off of Cassandra Beaugrand, but she'll also be in the hunt for that third place overall.
I tell you what, it's only Super League Triathlon that would have the athletes line up and do a shark fin off the head. You know, it's really something different. The Enduro always brings a little bit of pain. Georgia Taylor-Brown, last time out we had the Enduro in Munich, absolutely dominated. Do we see something similar like today? She put the hammer down in the first swim bike run, and she was never headed because it's 9 disciplines in a row, there's no break, and once someone breaks away, it's very hard to catch them.
She was completely gone from the start in Munich, wasn't she? She was fantastic out of that first swim. Round 1 on the bike in wet conditions, very different to today. She was gone and they never saw her again, and I know she'll be looking to do the same sort of tactic here today. Get away from Taylor Spivey early on, make the race her own, put herself in control.
What incredible scenes you are seeing. Absolutely groundbreaking stuff here in NEOM. No one has swum in this water before Super League arrived here. No one has even thought about having a triathlon, and let alone one of this calibre, in an area such as this. Really breaking new ground here in NEOM, and that's what NEOM is all about. 10 seconds till we get underway. History-making moment, and here we go. And they are into the water here in NEOM. And a good start in the middle of the pontoon by the Scorpions. A long, shallow run out.
And that's got to be Cassandra Beaugrand and Emma Jeffcoat there. They're both renowned for being very, very good at that run-in. Emma Jeffcoat from the shores of Sydney knows how to deal with these conditions, and the long legs of Cassandra Beaugrand, she can really get over those waves a bit better than maybe some of the other athletes. One of the battles we've got to look out for here at the early stages is for those swim points, as we can just see the eagle suit of Sian Rainsley, herself and Cassandra Beaugrand are at the top of the swim leaderboard. Whoever comes out of the water first will win, but for Sian to win, she needs Cassandra Beaugrand to finish 3rd out of the swim.
Yeah, we should mention that for each of these single discipline head-to-heads that we have now, $15,000 US is on the line, and Cassandra Beaugrand, if she finishes in the top 3, she will take those points and that money, and that is what she'll be thinking about, given that she isn't in contention for the overall, and she certainly started well. Emma Jeffcoat off her hip as well. Sian Rainsley there in the white, fighting behind in about 4th or 5th position as they are 3 wide heading into the first buoy. It's 120 metres out. They will make the turn. It is 100 metres across. We'll head down now to Annie Emerson, who has Tim Don, Eagles manager.
Tim, the conditions look absolutely ideal, but perhaps not quite as straightforward as it looks.
No, it was a long wade in, and we saw Cassandra and Emma Jeffcoat really use that to their advantage. They had great starts. Sian Rainsley, who's in for the swim contention, she was a little bit behind because she swam while they were still running. When they got to the first buoy, it's a big head current, so it's going to be really hard for them to change positions and overtake. And I think we're going to see some tricks on the way in. People aren't going to straight to shore and run along the beach because it's shorter.
Excellent. Good.
Management there from Tim Don, and he's certainly very engaged in every single little element of this one to make sure that his Eagles, well, maybe they can overcome, I think, who are they behind? They're behind
just behind the Cheetahs. One point behind. One point
behind, and there is decent money in it as well. $120,000 for the teams overall. For the winners, that's $15,000 each, but every single athlete will pick up some cash that have done the 5 rounds because there is team money that goes all the way down, and Cassandra Beaugrand continues to lead as they come up towards the second buoy out here in the Red Sea. It's very, very salty, very buoyant, so fast swim times, and this will be where that time is set. So in the single disciplines, they have stage 1 or stage 2 to set the fastest lap, but in the enduro, it's almost always in the first.
It's almost always going to end up being, as we see, we see a big split here, different tactic that the two leaders there are taking as to how they come back into shore. One of them inevitably will hit sand first. So this is, you want to be running as quick as you can, because running across the sand, even in your knee-deep water, is going to be quicker than swimming. So it's definitely worthwhile trying to get to shore, get to sand, being able to stand up as fast as possible.
All right, we'll see who has the right tactics. That is Cassandra Beaugrand on screen as they come in towards the end of the first 300 metres, the first of 9 disciplines. And there's a Scorpion leading both, so I think it is Jeffcoat that has led out first.
And Jeffcoat took that more direct line to the beach, which means she's been able to get up and run quicker. Sophie Coldwell on her heels as well, which you can just see Cassandra Beaugrand with Sian Rainsley on her feet coming in from that different line, and it's slowed them down significantly.
Taylor Brown there as well, Kate Woff, there is Rainsley, Beth Potter out of the water, but it's Emma Jeffcoat who has done the job and picked up the full 8 points for the Scorpions. By the look of it, and the first person out of, as Beth Potter comes in quick, first person to mount and gets out will pick up the short chute, crossing the mount line, and Jeffcoat looks like she can do it for Michael Gilliam there on screen and the Scorpions, and she will. And a second Scorpion comes in as well in Beaugrand, but crossing the mount line first and therefore taking the first short chute is Cassandra Beaugrand. Michael Thompson holds up the Scorpion sign, and Colwell is second. And first out onto the gravel, that's probably the first ever elite gravel triathlon in this format we've ever seen.
Is Emma Jeffcoat. Yeah, absolutely. And as you can see on that leaderboard on the side, third out the water still was Cassandra Beaugrand, which means she will take the swim leader's jersey and that $15,000 from the race today.
Unless, of course, Sian Rainsley can do a quicker lap in the second swim, but
it's possible. It's always possible, but we just think it's highly unlikely.
Highly unlikely after they do what is going to be a very difficult bike, and then, of course, the 1.6 kilometre run lap as well. And there is plenty of wind out there. Yesterday, at the moment, they're going with the wind, but they're going to turn up, and once they get onto the tarmac, there'll be a 180-degree turn, and there's about a 2-kilometre stretch into the wind, which yesterday was very difficult. And
I believe it's even windier today than it was when they went out and had a go at the course yesterday. So they are about to go into a really, really strong headwind section as we see Georgia Taylor-Brown leading that group of chasers. She's going to want to really drill it into that headwind. We know she wants to get away. We know she wants to do as much of this on her own as she can, but she would need to be away from Taylor Spivey for that to work.
Okay, so as it stands, Emma Jeffcoat has overtaken Sian Rainsley in the points, having picked up that virtual points, and of course for the swim. But we'll move on. A 1:12 pace for Emma Jeffcoat. That is not mucking around as her and Sophie Colwell, who swam at a 1:14 pace for a 3:41, head out, and still with the wind now as they've turned left up onto the tarmac.
Yeah, they've got quite a sizable gap between them, and it's only Georgia Taylor-Brown at the moment doing any work on the front of that other group, so it's not really helping them to move forward to try and bring that gap, bridge that gap back to the 2 leaders if one person's the only person doing the work. And we know what a strong rider Georgia Taylor-Brown is, but it's not fun doing it on your own. Worth noting briefly, Taylor Spivey not in that front group there, or in that main chase group. That's Jean Lahair of the Rhinos in the yellow suit. We are looking for that other yellow suit of Taylor Spivey, who is yet to come through.
Yeah, she was 22 seconds back off the swim. I think that she is in this group here. In fact, there's 3 Rhinos and all of them are in. She's second in that group as the back markers come around, Sarah Roll and Hannah DeVette, and all the women now are riding into the win, and Sophie Colwell has immediately dropped Emma Jeffcoat. What a super cyclist Sophie Colwell is.
She's a very good technical cyclist as well. I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't quite catch it if she'd led into that U-turn and just absolutely drilled it straight out of that. It's very smart riding by Sophie, and she is one of the strongest cyclists on the circuit now.
How quickly these races can change their complexion. So now Emma Jeffcoat tucks in behind Georgia Taylor-Brown, and this group of what is now 7, if we include those 2 hanging on at the back, need to work together to make sure that Sophie Colwell doesn't get too far away. You can see them swerving all over the road, trying to find cover from each other, perhaps from the motorbike as well if they possibly can. And at the front, Sophie Colwell is just doing the job.
If you're at the front of this group as well, so exactly as George has just done, as I was going to say, you pull yourself right onto the side of the road, and it gives other people no option but to come through. Otherwise, they're not getting any brief respite from the wind. So she made others come through there.
Miriam Casillas Garcia is the sole cheater in that group, and she's coming off a podium in Malibu, which was a breakthrough performance for her, the dual Olympian, and they're all looking at each other saying, I don't want to be the one that has to do this, as Jeffcoat again goes to the front.
Interesting as well that Cassandra Beaugrand, after coming out the water third, is not in that pack either, so she did not have a good transition. She didn't make it into that group out of transition, but she's probably in a couple of athletes just behind.
All right, we're going to head down now to the Cheetahs assistant manager, Michael Buchek, to get his take on the race as Taylor Brown takes off.
Michael, what a start for the Cheetahs. Sophie Colwell has broken away from the main group.
I mean, it was great. Like, she has really good tactic in a swim. She was going straight line into the beach, so that was the key thing to go. And and now on the bike, she just took her on her hand, so she's going for it. It's very windy out there, so this is going to be crucial today.
You've ridden the course. It's going to be tough to go it alone, but at the moment she's doing a very good job because the group behind aren't working very well together.
No. Like, this is the thing. Like, it's very windy, very good, very strong crosswind, so she's on her own, and the group behind her, nobody wants to do the work.
Do you think Sophie Colwell can stay away, really? They're at the terminal round point now. We're just looking at our screens.
Well, behind her is the group with the Georgia Taylor-Brown. You know, she's very strong. She will try to catch her, but Sophie Colwell already has a good lead, so it's going to be really, really hard.
Great stuff. Thanks, Michael.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Annie. And Emma Jeffcoat's dropped off the back. She'll join the second chase pack as Kate Woff leads back down. I keep feeling like it's back down the hill, but it's no hill, really. It's all flat. It's just all that headwind as they now head downhill onto the gravel part. There's a bit of an off-camber turn there you've got to be careful of as Sophie Colwell continues to plug away. And it is a crosswind, so you've got that foreshortening shot looking like they're all sitting in behind the motorbike, but there's actually quite a distance there, and the wind comes across, so it's not too much of an advantage. But this group now has split up as they attempt to chase, and I think that's Kate Woff at the front.
Yeah, this course really does enable athletes who maybe you wouldn't see that often on the bike or wouldn't consider the absolute best on the bike to really come to the fore because they're taking a chance on a different road surface. Some of them really enjoy off-roading. I know Kate's someone who does, so she's really taking her chances there.
Rangeley in that pack as well, and she has had her fair share of bad luck, as have a lot of athletes, because, you know, it's as thin as a razor's edge, the difference between success and mistakes in Super League Triathlon.
Super League does that more than any other.
It does. Well, you have first-hand experience is that it's only a one-lap bike and it's a one-lap run, of course, 3 times. And onto the black carpet comes the cheetah, Sophie Colwell, looking to secure that 3rd place on the championship podium and, of course, pick up the $20,000 for the round win as well. Gets off before the dismount line. And she has to rack right at the back, so there'll be plenty of people to run through as she runs out and potentially secures the 2nd of the short shoots for the Cheetahs. She will do, and likely she will have that herself. Of course, that'll be up to Annie Emerson. So Colwell crosses the line, picks up the 2nd short shoot, 1 for the Scorpions now, 1 for the Cheetahs. Taylor Brown, and there is Taylor Spivey.
Yeah, that group's bunched together a little bit more now. So Taylor Spivey at 14 seconds down from Sophie Colwell coming in, but perhaps more crucially, she's only there at, what's that, 6 seconds behind Georgia Taylor-Brown. That's definitely not a critical distance at this point.
Really interesting that now Cassandra Beaugrand is 34 seconds down. So she came out of transition second. So she lost a good 30 seconds on that 4-kilometre bike. She does not have the confidence on the bike at the moment. Knowing
Michael Gilliam, assistant team manager of the Scorpions, he will be screaming at her to go for a hot lap on this run, though, because that is vital points that the Scorpions need. They currently sit in second place in the overall team's leaderboard, and to overhaul the Sharks in front of them, they're really relying on their women's team, who have been absolutely amazing at collecting points for them throughout this series. So right now, Cassandra Beaugrand, to help that cause, she needs to go for a real hot lap and get the fastest lap today.
At the moment, Georgia Taylor-Brown and Emma Jeffcoat were the two that were battling out for the $15,000 for the fastest bike, and Taylor-Brown's bike then was faster. So unless Emma Jeffcoat can do better than a 6:21 in the second set of 3 disciplines on the second bike, then Taylor-Brown will pick up that money as they continue to run. It's an 800 out and back, and Beth Potter knows that she can win that $15,000. She's up against Cassandra Beaugrand on the run. So Potter needs to make sure she sets the fastest run, and she is headed straight to the front. It's been a bit of an up and down time for the Scorpions, who are contending for the teams overall. We'll head down now to the assistant manager, Michael Gilliam.
MG, talk us through the Scorpions' strategy here now.
It's very simple. We went out and did the swim exactly right, and we grabbed the swim cream, and then we grabbed, of course, the short chute. So we're happy with that. My concern is Cassandra. Yet again been found that technically on a bike, there's a lot wanting in that area. Can she come back from that? I don't know at this stage. Kathynthia, having a great race, is on the back of that front group. There's a chance she could hang on in the run. Emma Jeffcoat's done her job. I'm absolutely over the top about what's gone on so far. George is sitting comfortable at the moment. Tried to break away on the bike. In these conditions, not going to happen.
Great stuff. Thanks, MG. Good luck for the rest of the race.
Good insight there from Michael Gilliam, and he's correct, and he did not mix words about Cassandra Beaugrand either, who I guess after Munich, where she had an off in the warm-up and then didn't, her bike was non-existent in that race. It's just really rattled her.
Yeah, that crash that she had in the warm-up and the day before the race in Munich seems to have taken a really big toll out of her confidence level. And this is, of course, these are conditions that many of the athletes have never raced in. I mean, as you can see now, they're running on the same surface that they came back in on that bike section. It is gravelly, and a lot of them do not have the confidence to take it as hard and as fast as they need to really compete at this level. And that really took a massive chunk of time from where Cassandra Beaugrand sat ahead of and she came out the water. She was so far at the front, and now we're seeing her having to chase back on. But I think she looks to be running well. I wouldn't be surprised if she is trying to gain some more points for the Scorpions.
So Taylor-Brown has gone with Beth Potter at the moment, and Taylor Spivey, who was well back on the bike, is now sitting in about 4th position and has had a fantastic end to the bike, and coupled that with a really quick transition, and we've seen that from her time and time again.
Yeah, she didn't have such a great race in Toulouse at the beginning. That first round, it was the first swim to bike that she really struggled with. After that, she just got better and better as each round went on, and we know she's a phenomenal swimmer, so she can put herself within striking distance of Georgia Taylor-Brown, which right now I would say she is. This is far from over. Those girls will likely come together on this second swim.
Sophie Colwell looking extremely comfortable at the back. Obviously, Beth Potter is, well, unofficial world 5K record holder on the road. I think it was 14:41 or something like that.
Yeah, I think that record has since been
disbarred,
been taken by other people. Other people have gone faster since.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think there's been 2 others who may have gone faster.
Was it you?
Sadly, it was not. I don't want to do Beth a disservice if I've got that wrong. I apologise, but I think it has been since broken. But yeah, absolutely phenomenal runner. You're right. It's just incredible to think how fast she can go on the road. So it's no surprise to see her right at the front of this race.
Running on gravel, though, and look at that shot. That is absolutely unbelievable stuff. There is nothing for 50 miles in any direction out here, but this is what has been built specifically for this event, and Georgia Taylor-Brown is going with Beth Potter, and they're both tracking Sophie Colwell, the cheetah, at the front. Now, not forgetting that there is a short chute on offer as they come across this line, and it's going to go into the cheetahs as well, meaning that The cheaters deny another team from picking up a short shoot unless Beth Potter can overtake Sophie Colwell in the closing parts of this run.
And she's pushing it hard. You can see she's going really hard as Sophie slows down to put her goggles on there, but I don't think she's going to quite make it to her in time.
Coming across the dismount line, it is the cheaters. Beth Potter can't do it for the Sharks. So only the cheaters and the Scorpions end up with the short shoot that can be used in the last run of the day. And more than likely, it will go to Taylor Brown or Coldwell. Depends on what the team managers decide, and we'll keep you posted on that. Spivey comes in fourth. And fifth, behind Verena Steinhauser, who is also contending for the podium. Nicole van der Keys had a very good run. And Beau Grand has made up 20 seconds on that run.
Oh, you've got to think that that gives her the fastest run of the day and therefore more points. I say the fastest run of the day. Of course, we're not over yet, but with the Enduro, you do think that the fastest times we see come in round one.
Non-Stanford, 40 seconds back in her last race ever. Kate Woff's dropped back to 16 seconds back over that run as well. The pace has very much been on. And Cassandra Beaugrand ran that. Wow, look at those times. 4:57.9 for that run at a 3:06 pace.
3:06
Georgia Taylor Brown was a
kilometre.
second with a 5:10. So it looks like Beaugrand's got it. We're going to head back down now to Annie Everson, who is the team manager or assistant team manager of the Sharks.
Wow, Stewie, that was a pretty good leg from Beth Potter, who hasn't totally been on form this season so far in Super League.
Well, what it is she had a cold 2 weeks ago, and it just proves she's been overtrained a bit leading into these races. Today she had a fantastic race, so I think this is her race because she's not overtrained.
So what you're saying is she's backed off and she's rested up.
She has. I mean, she was petrified before the race, so she's got a cold, she feels slow, she feels sluggish, she feels a bit tired, but it's all paying off.
Great stuff. Good luck, Stewie.
It is paying off for Beth Potter, who is second and sitting on Sophie Colwell's feet, which is a good spot to be if you're in the water. Georgia Taylor Brown just behind her. So Taylor Brown at the moment with the slight edge over Spivey, who is trying to catch up and jump onto those feet because it's those two for the overall, those two for the $50,000 US and the SLT 2022 championship. Of course, Georgia Taylor Brown is the defending champion after not winning a race last year and then coming in over the top of Jess Learmont to steal it at the death in Malibu, and this time it's Taylor Spivey and Georgia Taylor Brown. So where does it go, Vicky Holland? Does it go to the UK or the US, the trophy?
Oh, it's far too early to call that right now. I would just say, having watched that overhead shot we were just on, Taylor Spivey is gaining ground. She's definitely catching up to those front three. She knows this is a critical moment for her. If she can get to the feet of Georgia Taylor Brown in this swim, she is firmly back in the race. And as she just comes into shot there, I would say she's made it. She is now on the back of that train. She's dragged maybe another athlete with her, but she won't mind about that because the head-to-head is her versus Georgia Taylor Brown for the title. And now that she's back on that train, it is absolutely game on.
SLT NEOM, of course, part of the 2022 NEOM Beach Games that runs for 5 weeks here and showcases this virtually untapped area in terms of sport anyway in Saudi Arabia. That is the Red Sea, and just across the other side of the water is Egypt. You can see it from where we are here in this desolate and beautiful part of the world that is undergoing an incredible transformation and will continue to do so over the next 5 years or so. If you haven't heard about NEOM and what it is, make sure you look it up because there is some groundbreaking stuff going on here in Saudi Arabia in terms of NEOM's vision for livability and
sustainability, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the direction of the future. It's a field splitting up considerably, and it might not be too long until we see Michael Thompson's famous yellow elimination flag as they head out of the water again, and everyone's following Sophie Colwell this time. It's Potter, it's Spivey and Taylor Brown right next to each other, coming out at the end of the fourth discipline of 9.
And I think that's Nicole van der Keys, isn't it? Just trying to hold on to the back there. She was right on Taylor Spivey's feet for a lot of that swim, but seems to have just got distanced in the last 100 metres or so. So she really needs a brilliant transition now because that pack is going to go. Those 4 girls, they're going to go up the road, and you want to be on the back of that pack.
You do not want to be isolated into the wind on this bike. We've seen it already, and we'll find out exactly how much power it took Sophie Caldwell. Non-Stanfords yesterday said she needed to push 200 watts just to not fall over into that headwind, such as it was. And out they go. The two Taylors, after, well, 24 hours after Taylor Knibb won the 70.3 World Championships, we've got two Taylors involved in the SLT Championship race. And there they are out onto the gravel. Nicole van der Kay, Miriam Garcia there as well. Verena Steinhauser with a nice transition onto the bike.
So all three cheaters look like they might actually make it into that front pack. I also noticed Georgia Taylor-Brown and Taylor Spivey struggling to get their feet on top of the shoes. When you normally start your bike leg, you have your shoes attached to your frame with elastic bands, meaning it's really easy to slip your feet in. Because they won't have had time to reset in between each round, your shoes will just be dangling from your pedals. And I noticed both girls struggling to flip the shoe the right way up to get their feet in, and that's cost them a few seconds.
It's been confirmed that Sophie Caldwell will be the recipient of the cheaters short shoot, the Chi 1. So Annie Emerson and Michael Buchek have decided that Caldwell going for the race win is what is going to help them the most. And there was no changes to the swim leaderboard on that second swim as we expected, which means that Cassandra Beaugrand will be the recipient of $15,000 as the best swimmer of SLT 2022. And Beth Potter's looking around saying, can you guys come with me, please? I don't want to do this all by myself. And Georgia Taylor-Brown and Taylor Spivey lead this pack of now 4, who will track down Potter, no doubt, on the way into the winds. And there's a fair gap back to Steinhauser and the rest now, you can see. And Sarah Roll and Hannah DeVette will likely be eliminated at the end of this discipline if they're not already eliminated. We just haven't seen it yet. There we go. Hannah DeVette is out. Sarah Roll as well.
It did look like Steinhauser and Casillas Garcia were going to get onto the back of this pack, so they may have had some other issues themselves with getting their feet into shoes. It is difficult when you can't have them set up as you would do in a, what I say in air quotes, in a normal triathlon setup. But as we know, Super League is anything but normal.
Well, just look at where we are. Look at the surroundings. Hasn't been done before as Spivey heads into the dead turn. Caldwell, Taylor-Brown and van der Kay, who's having her best race so far of the series. And there is a pair of cheaters in Garcia and Steinhauser all by themselves. And we will head down now to Annie Emerson, who has the manager of the Rhinos, who will be very happy at the moment, Ronnie Schildknecht.
This is where it's at. How's it looking on this?
Ronnie, a nerve-wracking moment after that first swim. Very unlike Taylor Spivey to be so far down.
Yeah, she's a little bit on the back foot, but she didn't took the straightest line. Emma Jeffcoat took the straightest line, so she really was on the back foot and had to put the pedal down on the bike. She catched up on the run, and now on the swim, I told her, let's go, catch up, and that's what she did. And she also took the shorter line this time.
So much to play for, because of course it's that championship series that GTB and Taylor Spivey are going for.
Yeah, I'm myself very excited, and yeah, we will see how it will progress. But Taylor is back on her heels, it seems, and I'm very happy about that.
Can she hold it together in this last 1.5 leg and stay with GTB?
She was so focused this week, and I think she really wants this. So it comes down to who really wants it the most, and I really think Taylor wants it a lot.
Great stuff. Good luck for the rest of the race, Ronnie. Well done.
Thank you.
11-time Ironman world, not world champion, 11-time Ironman champion. If he was 11-time world champion, it would be an entirely different thing. Ronnie Schildknecht, 9-time, he's won Ironman Switzerland.
I was going to say, most of them came in Switzerland. Unbelievable record, unbelievable.
It is an unbelievable record, and he has been managing the Rhinos throughout the season with the assistance of Nick Chase and van der Kay sandwiched there with Spivey. And you're right, I think for this, I mean, every one of us asked before the race, Georgia Taylor-Brown's race to lose. And even though they're equal on points, there's 2 wins to 1 there, and Taylor Spivey won Malibu. Maybe not because Georgia Taylor-Brown had a crash, but it certainly assisted her to do that. And even then, Taylor-Brown came back to 3rd after crashing, which was incredible. So it's been all eyes on Georgia Taylor-Brown throughout the last 8 weeks. And Taylor Spivey's been sitting there going, just slowly, I think, having her confidence building up, like I can actually do this, I can steal this.
Taylor's been really consistent across all 3 rounds. Even when she had that sort of small blip, as we might call it, at the beginning of the race in Toulouse, she got herself back up to 2nd place. It showed great tenacity. She's been strong throughout the season, I think getting stronger really with every round. But you're right, there has been so much attention on Georgia, and why wouldn't there be? It almost seems like she needs to do something wrong for her to be beaten quite often at the moment, and that's why Georgia goes into this race as the favourite. But Taylor has been so good at the really small elements, brilliant through transition all the time, brilliant with her tactical nous and how she's raced this, and that could be really vital today.
You are exactly right. As they head back onto the gravel once again, steady as she goes down that part of the course, and Potter, well, I thought she would have been caught heading into the wind, and she probably did too, but she hasn't been. And when you look back at this time of the race, last time we had an enduro in Munich, there was daylight between Taylor Brown and everybody else, and that is certainly not how this one is shaking out at the moment as she sits in 4th position.
Yeah, this is much more of a pack race than she would have been expecting, but that's where this next run's going to be vital. They're going to try and split the field up. But with the pedigree of Beth Potter, the way she runs, of course, Georgia's running. Taylor ran really well on that 1st round too. I can't see those 3 being split by too much going into the final swim. Sophie Caldwell also put together a strong swim after going solo on round 1, sorry, a strong run after going solo on round 1's run. So, or round 1's bike, sorry. Yeah, these girls, I'm not sure we're going to see them split up too much.
They'll head onto the black carpet in about another 200 metres or so, and Beth Potter will have another chance to lay down a fast run split, but she's going to need to do better than a 4:57 to steal that $15,000, and I don't think that is possible. I think Cassandra Beaugrand will pick up $15,000 for the run, as she did already confirmed for the swim. But it's all about the overall now, and Beth Potter won't be thinking about the single discipline money. She'll be thinking about winning this race. All 5 dismount without too much issue, although there was some confusion there for Van der Kay.
Beth Potter almost seemed a little bit unsure about which way she was racking her bike. Took a little bit more time than she's used to in transition there, just to get everything ready and set up so that she can have another great transition out of the next swim.
Casillas and Steinhauser are all alone in 5th and 6th. 6th and 7th, sorry. And Kate Woff has dropped back to a group with Jean Leher and Cassandra Beaugrand, 34.5 seconds back. But at the moment, it's all about Beth Potter, who it seems has had a reason for not performing, and it's been a different one each time. Too cold, got sick, etc., etc. But then finally we pulled it together, and now she's leading this race.
Yeah, and she's actually not been particularly well if you speak to her leading into this week. I mean, she says she feels fine, but I know she's been battling tonsillitis off the back of a nasty cold. So she has had some health problems even going into this race, but right now you wouldn't know it. Seems to have put them aside completely. She was also ill at least one of the other races this year, and I do think with some of these athletes, it's a very, very long season for them. I know Beth's main focus for the year was the Commonwealth Games back at the end of July, which she delivered a bronze medal for Scotland. I know that was the biggest aim of the year. She did that. Sometimes it's quite hard to sort of keep yourself motivated, to keep yourself really at your top level going forward into the later season races, and maybe we did see a bit of a lull there from Beth, but she seems to have brought herself back round really well for this race.
Certainly does seem that way. And as you were talking, I saw Emma Jeffcoat dismount, and she was flirting with the dismount line there. So we'll see if she
dangerously close.
That. Yes, dangerously close. And that, of course, is up to the race director, Michael Thompson, as Beth Potter doesn't seem to be putting any distance between her and the chasing pack, but she just looks so fluid when she runs.
It's hard to tell the distance in the background, but Casillas Garcia looks good as well. She's the cheater we can see just in the background. She's not losing too much time on this group as well, so she'll really be wanting a strong run now to give her any chance of getting onto the back of them before they go into the final swim. That angle there does show that I think we're seeing Sophie Caldwell leading the charge from that group, catching, I think, slightly to Beth Potter. But Beth has just done that whole bike leg solo, so it wouldn't be that surprising to see her starting to suffer a little bit now when these girls start to rein her in.
So we saw there in the picture-in-picture that Michael Gilliam has decided not to give the short shoot to Georgia Taylor Brown. which is great news for Taylor Spivey because now they go head-to-head with no one getting the shortcut. Instead, it goes to Cassandra Beaugrand. Talk me through that decision, Vicky.
I honestly have no idea why at this point you would have chosen to give it to Cassandra Beaugrand. I know there is a case for trying to influence the race further down the course so that someone like Cassandra might leapfrog one or two athletes if she's running really close to them.
That's of course
in the
for
final
the team,
round.
for the teams and
Exactly.
overall. You can see her at the back of screen there, and she's in a group of 3. But do you think that it would be better off for Taylor Brown, who's in a group of 4 others?
I don't like to criticise MG's choices, but right now, for me, it would be all about trying to get the overall individual victory sold to your team. Georgia Taylor Brown is the only one who can do that right now for the Scorpions. She's in a head-to-head battle with Taylor Spivey. There's nothing to split them. It is going to come down to the final run, short of some disaster happening to one of the other girls. For me, I would have given it to Georgia Taylor Brown.
Well, there is your swim champion, and it says provisional, but it's been confirmed now. She will pick up the $15,000 for the best swimmer overall, and it looks to me as well like Georgia Taylor Brown will clinch the $15,000 for the best biker overall because she has held off Emma Jeffcoat in terms of the fastest bike splits of the day. But again, she won't be worried about that. She's worried about winning this whole thing.
Just looking at Van der Kay at the side of the picture there in purple suit, the shark suit, she's having a phenomenal race. This is by far her best result here. If she can hold on to this group now, she does look to be showing a few signs of strain, but she knows this is where the race is at. If she can just hold on to them and get in the water with this group, that's exactly where she wants to be. And a top 5 result for her would be fantastic. She's had 10th, 10th, 9th and 14th so far in the series. So for her to get a top 5 would be brilliant, not just for her, but also for the Sharks. The Sharks currently leading the overall team championship. We were fully expecting Scorpions to possibly leapfrog them in the women's race today, but
I
getting
think they still will.
two in the top 5 will help.
Yeah, but they picked up the top points for the swim and for the bike.
But it all helps.
And they'll pick up for the run as well.
You're right.
Yeah, it all helps. There you go.
It all helps.
Confirmation. Georgia Taylor Brown will pick up the full points and the $15,000 to add to her already bulging pockets, has to be said, and hasn't even won the overall yet.
I'm sure she'll love to hear you say that. Bulging pockets.
Bulging with money. But it is, you're right about Nicole Van der Kay, who was having the race of her life and managed to stick with this group. And it just shows you, you know, once you get on a roll in Super League, you really can deliver a race. And obviously the conditions suit her.
And the power of adrenaline, you know, being up there, being racing against these 4 girls who are all World Series medalists, to be right in that mix. I mean, Nicole Van der Kay actually has one herself. I shouldn't do her down on that level. But all the others have multiple World Series medals. She's in that mix now. She wants to stay there, and that buzz, that adrenaline will keep her firing.
Well, at that point, it's just about making sure you get the transition correct, and you are in this group of swimmers. And that has happened. Colwell is the slowest out of transition. Interesting story about Nicole Van der Kay, actually. During lockdown, obviously, she was in New Zealand, and they were one of the most locked down countries in the world. And so all the public pools were closed, and she had to prepare for Tokyo. So her father, John, along with her brother, built a homemade swimming pool. They dug it out, put a tarpaulin on it, and then a bungee cord, and she just swam on the spot. That's ingenuity.
Amazing. Amazing.
It's not all glamour being a professional athlete.
It's not. There was a lot of interesting swimming tactics going on during those lockdowns of 2020 and early 2021.
Can we just forget about them forevermore now?
Yeah, let's wipe those from memory. But look at these girls now, all 5 of them swimming 5 abreast.
Interesting decision. Good for the 2 cheaters behind. But yeah, no, there's 2 there on the top of the screen, and then the rest are spread out.
Sophie Colwell was the last of the 5 to go into the water, and I wonder if that's why she's made that decision to go really wide to try and get herself back to the front of this pack.
And there are some athletes down there, including Kathy Ashar, non-Stanford, Jules Behrens, Sian Rainsley and Nat Van Covenden, who are flirting with the 90-second rule. Eliminated if you come through transition 90 seconds down. And a confirmation then of the run leaderboard, and to add to the $15,000 US, Cassandra Beaugrand picked up for the swim. She picks up $15,000 for the run by putting down the fastest run of the day, taking her to 32 points, an unassailable lead. Georgia Taylor Brown picks up the 6. She finished 2nd overall in the run leaderboard for the series, and that is all done and dusted. And we move on to the business part of this race, and Emma Jeffcoat, who has been the ultimate team player for the Scorpions.
Yeah, she really
picking
has.
up a ton of points without figuring necessarily in the overall. She is done as is Sophia Green, who has found the going quite tough.
Unsurprisingly, we were always going to see some eliminations from this, and with the front pack as strong as we've got there, those 5 girls, the way that they've had no let-up at all during this race, just means if you're a bit further back, you're going to get caught out by this 90-second rule.
So 5 in 2 lines as they head towards the second buoy with a couple of cheaters behind, and they've been there together. Verena Steinhauser, Miriam Casillas.
Yeah, it was 8 seconds going into the water, and I think, if anything, they might be a tiny little bit closer now.
All right, it's a rhino and a scorpion head-to-head, and it is down on the ground as well with Annie Emerson. Both managers talking right now.
OK, MG, how are the nerves?
My nerves are fine. I'm kind of calm and relaxed. I'm worried about Ronnie. His heart rate's up, and I'm concerned.
But your girl has got a few decent athletes around her. It's not game over. Taylor Spivey is in there, MG. She's going to give GTB a run for her money.
You're talking a lot of gobble at the moment. She's in cruise mode. She's silver medalist at the Olympics, gold medalist at the Olympics.
Talk us through the short shoot, MG, because that's an interesting decision that you've made there, not giving it to GTB.
Cassandra needs the help.
OK, Cassandra is way back, MG, so I think that's a short shoot wasted, right?
Oh, well, that's what you think. I don't think so.
Ronnie, how are you feeling? How are the nerves?
Oh, not much. Actually, I'm calm. Taylor has it under control. She had to catch up a little bit, but now she looks in control. Sean is a little bit behind, but also going well. So, yeah, I'm excited. And you?
Oh, well, Ronnie's a rhino.
Great stuff, boys. Just 1 leg to go. Thank you.
You have to wrap up, Michael Gilliam.
He's in a fighting mood today, isn't he? He's not taking any.
You know what? I think people have been saying to him, why did you pick Cassandra for the short shoot?
He's bored of explaining himself now,
I think he's just mad now.
Yeah. And maybe he realises he's made a mistake. Who knows?
No, but he will never admit it.
No.
No, he won't. Anyway, George will be thinking, maybe I could really use that. Taylor Spivey will be thinking, thank you very much, MG. And out the front, that's a great swim from Sophie Colwell, who went into the water last, comes out first. And look, she'll be thinking, can I put time into the bike? Do I go away on the bike now? Because we will get again to the pointy end now, and she knows she probably can't run past Beth Potter. She's got 4Ks on the bike to put time into this group, and knowing that you've got supreme runners behind her. She did outrace Taylor Spivey in a sprint at the end for second place in Munich. But Potter is she's the shark in the pack, isn't she?
Well, right now, as things stand in the overall, Sophie Colwell is 3rd and Beth Potter is 4th. There's only 3 points between them. But at the top of the points system for this race only, there are 2 points differences between each place. So she can only afford to let Beth Potter beat her by 1 place. If Beth Potter beats Sophie Colwell by 2 places in this race, Beth leapfrogs Sophie into 3rd place overall.
So that is the race for the podium, and also the race for the overall is at the pointy end too. So all the protagonists are there. Colwell versus Potter, Spivey versus Taylor Brown, and Nicole van der Kay could be the joker in the pack here to mix up the order. She's at the back of this group of 5 as well. So about 3.5 kilometres on the bike to go in a 1.6 kilometre run. And there is all sorts of quality in this pack of 5 women as they head out into the desert in NEOM once again.
As we predicted, the 5 of them have stayed together during that swim and through transition. No changes. So it really is looking like, unless someone does something decisive, maybe around one of these dead turns they've got coming up, it's going to come down to a final run race.
Exactly how we hoped it would after 8 weeks, after multiple continents, after many, many thousands of miles flown. And here in the Middle East, on a groundbreaking day, it's going to come down to a game of inches over 1.5 kilometres or 1.6 kilometres.
And what's great is that we've got 2 races within this race. Right in that front pack, we've got the race for 1st and 2nd between Georgia Taylor-Brown and Taylor Spivey, and we've got the race for 3rd and 4th between Sophie Caldwell and Beth Potter. So we're going to see it all play out over the next 10 minutes.
Unbelievable. See a desert. Athletes in the one shot. Man, that's beautiful.
They've gone with the wind up to the 180 degrees, and then it's 2 kilometres back along this stretch of tarmac. Spivey goes in first, and that's where you want to be when you've got a 180-degree turn. Don't leave anything to chance.
Definitely. You can see on the edge of the road there is some sand, so they wanted to be able to go in early, take the right course, take the right line, sorry, so they don't have to go too wide and cut it too fine next to all that sand. So this is the long headwind section now, around roughly 2 kilometres, as we said. There's also a little bit of crosswind coming in, as we did just see a little bit of swerving there from the athletes. But this part of the course is absolutely brutal, and to get away, it requires a really, really decisive move because the headwind is so strong along this section.
There's also a bit of a battle going on between Miriam Casillas and Verena Steinhauser, the two cheaters who only have 4 points between them as well. So at the moment, Steinhauser's in the box seat. And a reminder, the short shoot, which is a nice little shortcut, probably give you about 3 or 4 seconds, will be taken as soon as they transition onto the run. And for some reason, Cassandra Beaugrand's picked up the one for the Scorpions. And it should have been Georgia Taylor-Brown, you would think. And Sophie Colwell has one up her sleeve. So that she will know that she right now is in a pack of 5 when no one else has that opportunity as well. So that's helpful for Sophie Colwell, and Taylor Spivey's like, would anyone else like to be at the front?
Well, I was thinking it was quite interesting, actually. Taylor Spivey has been on the front for the entirety of this bike leg so far. And if I was Georgia Taylor-Brown, that would probably have been a tactic from me to make Taylor do most of the work. But Taylor, as we can see there, got a little bit sick of being the only one pulling turns at the front, and so she's pulled over. We've now got Beth Potter back on the front. She had a quick look over her shoulder. I don't think she really wants to be on the front either, having done pretty much the whole of round 2 of this enduro on her own. She knows she's in a head-to-head with Sophie Caldwell, and whilst on paper Beth Potter does have that stronger run, Sophie Caldwell has the short shoot.
Right, well, they're in the echelon now, as you can see, trying to stay out of the wind. Looks like an ad for a bike brand, doesn't it?
It does, and this is where I can't, not being out on the course, tell exactly where the wind's coming from, but if they are echeloning in that way, Beth Potter would be better off putting herself on the other side of the road. She puts herself on the other side of the road. There's no benefit to any of the other athletes by sitting behind her. So right now, she's giving them exactly what they want. And while she's looking over her shoulder and calling people through, no one is coming through, and she's giving them a free ride.
Yeah, just needs to head across, and she's trying to head across, but Sophie Caldwell doesn't want to let her. There she goes across to the other side of the road now that it's narrowed.
Yeah, there we go. So now she's on that side of the road, although not slammed up against those cones, as I would probably recommend that she did. If she was right up against those cones, the athletes wouldn't have anything to do, any other option but to probably come round.
2 kilometres of foxing, and the one that really did the job there was Georgia Taylor-Brown, who didn't take any time on the front whatsoever.
Smart racing from Georgia. I mean, we know she can. Let's be honest, there's no doubting that Georgia Taylor-Brown is one of, if not the strongest cyclist in this field, but she hasn't seen the front of this bike on this leg yet, and I think that's a very strong tactical decision from Georgia. She knows she's in a direct head-to-head run race on this final run with Taylor Spivey. As you said, Will, exactly what we wanted to see for the finale of this series, but she's been very clever on this final leg so far.
Yeah, after 4 rounds, London, Munich, Malibu, Toulouse, and so many twists and turns, 56 points apiece to Taylor Spivey with 1 win in Malibu, 56 points to Georgia Taylor-Brown with 2 wins, and now 3 metres between the pair of them with 1.6 kilometres to go.
Taylor Spivey has so far been much better than Georgia Taylor-Brown through transitions throughout the whole series, and she put herself right at the front of the pack. As I say that, Sophie Caldwell storms through and steals a march, which is exactly what she needs to do in her head-to-head battle against Beth Potter. Be first into transition, fast through transition, take that short shoot, give herself a head start.
Okay, Sophie Caldwell has the short shoot, as every single person within 100 miles of here is on the barrier, watching how this last 5 or 6 or 7 minutes is going to play out at the end of this season. And Sophie Caldwell is going to take the short shoot. There she goes past, and the short shoot is right there, meaning she can turn there. The others have to go down to the end and turn around. So I'd say that's a good 4 to 5 seconds advantage. And Van der Kees hanging on to the back. And there are your 2 championship protagonists.
Side by side, always the way.
Colwell, though, is at the front. She wants to wrap up a podium spot. She wants to wrap up the $20,000 for the win. And she wants to finish season 2022 on a high. And she's going to have to stay away from Beth Potter, one of the great runners of our sport, who is tracking her down. And then the two championship contenders right behind her.
So you can see Beth Potter there just getting caught up. I think that was by Georgia Taylor-Brown, who might have just snuck away from Taylor Spivey very, very early on this run, of course, but it looked like Georgia Taylor-Brown was taking first blood.
Cassandra Beaugrand takes the short shoot, taking her away from Jean Lahair and Kate Woff. While at the front, Taylor-Brown has overtaken Potter, and it's Spivey who needs to find a way back.
That gap is going out at the moment. That is a decisive gap that George has already opened up. Of course, we're not even halfway through this run yet, but Beth Potter looks to be struggling a little bit, and for her hopes of finishing on the podium overall, she needs to not only overhaul Sophie Colwell, but she needs someone else to finish between her and Sophie, and right now that's looking less and less likely. Sophie holding that gap fantastically to Georgia. I don't think Georgia's really gained too much on Sophie at this point, so Sophie really wants that grandstand finish for herself.
Well, Georgia Taylor-Brown, she's done it so many times. She just looks so calm. Her head is barely moving, but she is tracking down Sophie Colwell. We'll head back down to Annie Adamson with some of the team managers who are in this fight.
My heart is in my mouth, Buchek. What's going to happen? Sophie Colwell just absolutely nailed that transition, but she's got GTB hot on her feet.
I know. I mean, it's incredible, right? Like, she's got a short shoot. She used that. She has a little bit of lead, about 20, 30 meters. So let's see what's going to happen. Yeah, JTB's right behind her. So, but yeah, it's really, really strange conditions. So we don't know.
But there's a real battle going on between Potter, of course, and Colwell for that overall third position in the series. What do you think is going to happen?
I know. Well, we just have to wait. I mean, as I can see on the big screen, so the Sophie is just really giving it all out. So yeah, it's still open, still open. Let's wait until the end.
But you have to remember that Beth Potter's a world 5,000 metre world record holder. She's also now mentored by Alison Brownlee. Your cheaters have no chance today.
Yeah, but we're racing in NEOM for the first time. Very, very good condition. So this is like really, really totally new for everyone.
Great stuff. Let's head back to the race.
Thank you.
There's a lot of testosterone among the team managers.
Yeah, there really is.
800 metres to go. They head back towards home, and it looks like Georgia Taylor-Brown has done enough to distance. It's now got to be 50 metres back to Taylor Spivey. So Taylor-Brown might just be your champion. She might also be your race winner. It's UK 1, 2, 3, Sophie Colwell, Georgia Taylor-Brown, and the Scot, Beth Potter.
Look at the face of Sophie Colwell there. She's gone absolutely all in on the first 800 metres of this run, and she is now running with that tailwind, which I'm sure she'll be incredibly grateful for. But she's got pain written all over her face as the ever calm, never looking in pain Georgia Taylor-Brown creeps up onto her shoulder. Sophie will have known there was a high chance that would happen, but Sophie's main aim in this race is to stay away from the charging Beth Potter, and it looks like she's probably done enough to seal that deal and to give herself that final place on the overall podium.
Can Sophie Colwell hold off Georgia Taylor-Brown? She's coming all the time, only now sitting right on her heels. Georgia Taylor-Brown, the reigning champion. Georgia Taylor-Brown now likely the 2022 back-to-back champion. Can she take this race win as well? Beth Potter is dropped back in third position, and Nicole van der Kay is charging up to the back of Taylor Spivey. They're now shoulder to shoulder, and Colwell looks like she has dug very deep. Georgia Taylor-Brown looks like she has just started. She's going to break the heart of Sophie Colwell, is she? They come up head to head.
They're roommates as well, these two incredible friends. They've come through the British system together, known each other since they were in their early teens. So great, great friends. They've been sharing a room here together all week. So, you know, that could cause a little bit of tension later on today, I wonder.
She just looks so calm and collected, just like the T1000 marching down. She is such a cool customer, Georgia Taylor-Brown, and now they sight the finish. Beth Potter is struggling in the back, and she has broken Sophie Colwell Taylor-Brown. There is the trophy. She will put her hands on it again. Georgia Taylor-Brown, Olympic gold medalist, Olympic silver medalist, 2021 Super League champion, multiple race winner over the course of this season, and she will finish here in the desert with a race win to make her the champion once again. Georgia Taylor-Brown is your champion here in NEOM. Sophie Colwell comes in second. What a race from her. She did so much work. She picks up the 15 grand per second. Beth Potter comes across the line. Sophie Colwell will be on the podium, and in between the two Brits on your championship podium will be Taylor Spivey.
Yeah, Taylor had said to us in the lead up to this race that she just wasn't feeling particularly well. She's been struggling with a little bit of illness, and we weren't sure whether really she was actually going to still deliver, because she seems to be able to do that even on tough days, but she just didn't quite have enough today.
What a race from Nicole Vanderkay, who pushed Taylor Spivey all the way and rounded out the top 5. Miriam Casillas was too strong for her Cheetahs running mate Verena Steinhauser in 6th and 7th position. And Taylor Spivey will be disappointed with that, but she has had a season. She had the win back in Mallorca in 2018. She wasn't great by her own high standards in 2021, but she has come back with a vengeance. And
this is the first time all series that she hasn't finished on the podium, and to just finish 4th. You know, obviously she wanted more than that because of that head-to-head battle with Georgia Taylor-Brown that we talked about so much, but she just didn't quite have enough on that final run leg.
Beaugrand didn't have it today either, 51 seconds back, so she will be disappointed with that after she has figured so heavily in the races that she has been in this season. And her French compatriot Jean Lehair finished 20 seconds further back, and the top 10 separated by 80 seconds in a race of 50 minutes.
It's absolutely crazy, isn't it? Do we have to apologise to MG now for doubting his decision not to give Georgia Taylor-Brown?
He knew she was going to win it.
I mean, he was supremely confident. We thought he probably should have made it sort of a done deal, but he didn't do that.
And across the line and into the arms of Georgia Taylor-Brown comes Non Stanford, crossing the finishing line for the last time in her incredible career, and the rest of the Brits getting around Non.
Oh, all the athletes, I think, are coming in to really celebrate someone who's had just the most tremendous career. She retires as the current European champion, but also a former world champion and Olympian. Not to mention all the other things that she's done in her career, and she knew she desperately wanted to finish this race today. She's been battling a calf injury, but delighted to see her cross the line there.
We will have her in commentary as well for the men's race, which is coming up very, very soon, but not before the podiums that will happen right after we wrap it up here on the black carpet.
Oh, Beth Potter, 3rd here today, tremendous race, but you've dropped down and you've fallen off the podium in the series. How are you feeling?
Oh, I'm actually really happy with that today. You know, I've been on antibiotics all week, so to come here and race pretty strong, like I think the rest must have done me good, so yeah, I'm happy.
Your assistant manager said there was something to do with you being forced to rest coming into this race because you haven't been able to train. Do you think that's helped a bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, just because I wasn't able to, you know, I had a really easy weekend last weekend, I was in bed, so yeah, I think maybe in hindsight, take a bit more recovery going into races next time.
Stewie, let's talk about points. Beth has done a whole lot of good for the Sharks that are sitting in the lead overall as a team. But what do you reckon? Our hearts are in our mouths. Can they carry on in the men's race?
I'm taken back by the girls today. They literally raced out of their skin. I mean, seeing Beth out there nearly take the win, and we've got the other girls doing, you know, just behind. This is fantastic. And now the men are watching the race, and they're going to really smash it.
Nicole Vanderkay got some great points for the Sharks today as well. That was her best race.
Yeah, I think we were pretty good today, and yeah, just glad to be up at the front with the girls who are smashing it.
We're going to pop over to Non because we know that the great champion, 2013 world champion, it is her last race ever in triathlon. Non, feeling a bit emotional?
Yeah, a little bit. To be honest with you, I'm absolutely exhausted. I'm not fit enough for that. I didn't expect to get through the first round, let alone the whole way. I haven't run in 5 weeks. I've had COVID. So, yeah, just to get to the finish line was amazing, and that was all I could ask for.
Just one last word on this incredible series and this incredible place.
I just want to say a huge thank you to Super League for giving me the opportunity to bow out from my career the way I wanted to, having loads of fun surrounding all my best friends. So thank you very much.
Great stuff. Lovely to be with you for your last race, Non. Congratulations.
What a shot that is, and what a race that was. And it came down to the last 200 metres between Sophie Colwell and Georgia Taylor-Brown. And as she has done so many times in the past, Georgia Taylor-Brown just had that little bit left in the tank. Beth Potter finished in third, but of course finishes fourth in the overall, and we're going to see the championship podium soon, just after the race podium. Taylor Spivey held off Nicole van der Kay. Miriam Casillas and Verena Steinhauser picked up key points for the Cheetahs, as did John Lahair and Kate Woff in 9th and 10th for the Sharks.
Ladies and gentlemen, the medal presentation for the women's race. Please welcome the medalists. The silver medal will be presented by the Managing Director of NEOM Sport, Jan Peterson. The bronze and gold medals will be presented by Vice President of the Saudi Triathlon Federation, Jude Jamoun. In third place, representing the Sharks, Beth Potter. In second place, representing the Cheetahs, Sophie Caldwell. In first place, and 2022 Super League Triathlon Championship Series NEOM winner, representing Bahrain Victoria Scorpions, Georgia Taylor Brown. Ladies and gentlemen, please make some noise for your Championship Series NEOM medalists.
So there are your NEOM medalists. Sophie Caldwell relegated to second by virtue of a fantastic last run from Georgia Taylor Brown, who also picked up the $15,000 for the bike. So 50 minutes work and $35,000 for Georgia Taylor Brown. And congratulations to her. And there is your Championship Series official leaderboard. We're going to have our championship podium in just a second. And Sophie Caldwell wrapped up third place on the podium, ahead of Beth Potter with that second place. Taylor Spivey and Georgia Taylor Brown were equal on 56 points, but it was Taylor Brown with the win in the end who takes the overall and picks up a further $50,000. So that race was worth $85,000 for Georgia Taylor Brown. What an effort.
Big day.
Potter was ahead of Steinhauser, Miriam Casillas as well in 5th and 6th, just as they were in this race, stuck together. Jean Lahair finished 7th in her debut season, ahead of Cassandra Beaugrand, who left some points on the table today. Nicole van der Kay vaults into the top 10, ahead of Kate Woff after that fantastic top 5. And we are going to be heading down now to hear from all of our top 3 race podium, with Annie Emerson starting with Sophie Caldwell.
What a series. What a race. You did not put a foot wrong there, apart from in those last 200 metres.
I actually can't believe it. Like, I kept thinking about, in my head, my coach always says, like, keep pushing forward, like, keep pushing. And then, like, on the last bike, I thought, you're not going to outrun these girls. So, like, you've got the short shoot, like, try and get a bit off the bike. So I just committed for, like, the last couple of 100 metres and just kept thinking, push forward. So, yeah, over the moon.
It looked to us on the sideline like military perfection. You just delivered there. Just tell us what the series mean to you and finishing third overall.
Honestly, I can't believe it. Like, to say that I wasn't going to race a series and then I've dropped a race, like, to finish third overall, like, wow. Yeah, what a year for me in Super League.
Congratulations, Sophie Caldwell. Well done. Taylor, it's a tricky one because it was such a tough deal coming to this. I know you've had a bit of a difficult week too. How are you feeling finishing second overall in the 2022 series?
I came into this race a bit sick and not feeling my best, so coming away today with a 4th place, I really exceeded my expectations, and I wanted to fight a bit more for the win, but I did the best I could given how I felt, and to come away with second is still pretty good. So I'm really proud of myself, and a big congrats to Georgia.
And NEOM, what an incredible venue this has been.
Yeah, I mean, this venue is unlike any other that we've raced at. It's hot, windy, and really tough, and we gave it our all.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Georgia Taylor-Brown, you are the Super League 2022 champion. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, it means an awful lot. It's been flipping long season. So yeah, just one more race left now. But I mean, we've had 5 incredible races with Super League, and I'm just so happy to come out on top. I was just like, yeah, you never know what to expect with Super League. It's always changing, and sometimes it's just pure luck. So now I've kept my head down, and I can honestly say that I've given every single race my all.
And just tell me, what do you think about this place? I've never been to a place like NEOM for a triathlon ever in my life.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't really enjoy the bike course. It's super windy, but we worked well today, and no, it was incredible.
Great stuff. Massive congratulations, Georgia Taylor-Brown. You are the champion here in NEOM.
Thank you.
What a moment for Georgia Taylor-Brown. And yes, it took 50 minutes to pick up all that money, but it also took every session, every flight, every single moment that she has done supremely across the course of 2 months.
Yeah, Georgia's barely put her foot wrong, and when she has, she's made the most out of a bad day. So she's been a very worthy winner this series.
All right, we head down to the championship presentation, and there is the trophy that Georgia Taylor-Brown has won.
Ladies and gentlemen, the medal presentation for the Women's Championship. Please welcome our championship winners. The checks will be presented by Chairman of Super League Triathlon, Leonid Blagulski. In 3rd place, representing the Cheetahs, Sophie Caldwell. In 2nd place, representing the Rhinos, Taylor Spivey. In 1st place, and 2022 Super League Triathlon Championship Series winner, representing Bahrain Victoria Scorpions, Georgia Taylor-Brown. Ladies and gentlemen, please make some noise for your Super League Triathlon Championship Series winners.
Back-to-back titles for Georgia Taylor-Brown, and she has really earned it. She has been pushed all the way from Taylor Spivey and a host of fantastic athletes, Sophie Caldwell as well. And she mentioned she missed a race in Malibu as well, so she could really have big a little bit more, although there was a big gap. And the chicks there presented by Leonid Boguslavsky, who is the chairman and co-founder of Super League Triathlon, and himself finished the Ironman World Championships in Kona just a couple of weeks ago in the 70 to 74 age group. That's incredible. We head down now to Annie with the team managers.
Michelle, well, you had an outstanding race there, but you dropped 10 points now behind the Scorpions. Can you pull that back in the men's race?
I think we can. You know, I think that our women had the best possible race that they could have, and to be honest with you, I thought that we'd be a little bit further behind than that. So actually I'm delighted that we're in the position we're in right now, and I think with our men's team we can definitely pull that back for sure.
So we're going to see you on top of the podium at the end of the men's race.
I have a really good feeling. I think with the, you know, the top 3 that we've got, I think top 3 in the top 10, we can do it. We can definitely do it.
Great stuff. Good luck, Michelle.
So the women are run and done, and the countdown begins now for the men to crowning our 2nd champion of the day. And the Falcon has 1 win on the big prize. Hayden Wild is in the box seat
but there is plenty to be decided here in NEOM.
London, Malibu, Toulouse. 3 wins in Hayden Wild's back pocket, and the Kiwi has the SLT title in his grasp. Wild has been just about flawless, but if we know anything about Super League, we know how quickly things can change. Any slip-up and Matt Hauser will pounce. Hauser's season has had everything, and he finds himself in a battle with his Malibu sparring partner Taylor Reid for second. With 5 men from 5 different nations, all within 2 points of each other, and all with designs on the podium. Who'd bet against Johnny Brownlee to be the one that steps up? The discipline leaders race is heating up too, where it's all about fastest laps. A good swim will see Jamie Riddle wrap up the swim leaders title, while it's a 3-way fight for the 15 grand on the bike, with Shachar Sagiv pushing hard and knowing both Vasco Velasa and Wild will be doing the same. Plenty to watch out for. Let's get into it.
One of the stars of SLT NEOM is undoubtedly the course. Time now for Tim Don to take us around something very, very unique here on the shores of the Red Sea.
The Super League Grand Final. There's endurance, and then there's the Super League Enduro. The swim starts with a run-in. The warm, hot Red Sea. The wind is a desert wind. You get to the first buoy, you turn right into the chop, the wind picks up that sea. Head to shore, through transition. A 1-lap, 4-kilometre bike course. This is where the uniqueness starts. The first 800 metres are on gravel. That's right, gravel. They hit the tarmac, the U-turn, looking behind, seeing if they're in front or they have to chase. Hot dog, hard left, back onto the gravel, down the hill. This is where you're going to have a tailwind, speeds will be high, nerves of steel are going to take people through. They do a U-turn, run back against the flow. This is when the heat will first hit. Up the hill, into the headwind, you hit the 180, run down the hill, back to transition. The race isn't over. It's the Enduro. You have to do it 2 more times. 5 races, 5 countries to crown the Super League Triathlon Series champion here in NEOM.
Next to the famous Catalina seaplane wreckage, and there is the format that the men are going to take on as they head out onto the black carpet in just a second.
It's time to welcome the athletes for our men's events. The Rhinos, represented by Sergio Baxter.
Here come the men of the Rhinos, and they'll be hoping to emulate the heroics of Taylor Spivey, and they are 5 strong, which is a little unusual, and that's because one of our Saudi athletes joins the Rhinos team. Abdul Rahman Al-Khamdi is number 56. And before that, Vasco Velasa, who has been a contender, and if it hadn't been for his illness in Toulouse, there he is. If it hadn't been for the illness in Toulouse for Vasco, well, he would be further up the leaderboard. Now, Vicky Holland is still here, eating lots of snacks, but joining her is Non Stanford, who just finished her last ever race. How are your emotions just coming down off the high of finishing that?
Exhausted. It's really tough out there, so I'm sure these guys are about to find out.
Can we say she's still in her Eagles tri-suit, as we do see the Eagles coming out onto the black carpet there to be welcomed out. We've seen Dan Dixon, Jamie Riddle, Matt Hauser, and now Emil Holm. But Non Stanford still representing Team Eagles as she sits here next to us.
Always, I'm just here in support of them.
And they are 5 strong as well, the Eagles. Also a Saudi athlete joining them as Johnny Brownlee heads out, the first of the cheaters, and a strong team as well with Shachar Sagiv, Max Stapley and Richard Murray. But the Eagles, they'll need a good showing from all 5 men And I hate to say this because Non's part of the Eagles team, but they picked up 8 measly points in that women's race. By far the lowest ever for any team.
I'm not sure I did much there, so I can't say anything.
Yeah, the Cheetahs, conversely, had a fantastic race and picked up 55. So whereas there was only 1 point in it before the start of the race today, it's now been split wide apart.
These conditions could suit Tyler Mislachuk, who loves to race in the heat. Ryan Fisher there as well. He is also retiring at the end of this race, the 2016 Rio Olympian. Kenji Nina, you might have seen on social media, cut his foot on some coral yesterday, but he is still going to do the job. And these Scorpion men, they need to do the job because the Scorpion women, Cassandra Beaugrand, Georgia Taylor-Brown, especially Emma Jeffcoat as well, have put them in the lead of the team's race by 10 points. And all points, the swim, bike and run points and the overall points, go into the points pool for the team. And the Sharks men have been supreme, especially in the swim. They might take that lead back from the Scorpion men, and there, of course, is 120,000 US on the line, led, of course, by the Falcon Hayden Wild.
Yeah, these guys are real points machines, the same way that the Scorpion women have been throughout the series. So it would be, if they stand on the start line today, you'd probably say that the Shark men are the favourites to take the overall Shark men and women to the title, the Super League title 2022.
So it's like we're handing out money. I feel like Oprah, we're handing out so much money. We're like, 100,000 for you, 85,000 for you. The teams get this. None of my, it's not my money.
I was going to say, where's ours?
Exactly. Put the hand out. The Championship Series as it stands, Hayden Wild has an almost unassailable lead. All he needs to do is finish 14th or higher, and he will win the overall. Of course, he's a Falcon, so he's going to win the whole thing. Matt Hauser and Taylor Reid are battling it out for the rest of the podium, but of course, Kenji Nina, Johnny Brownlee, Vasco Velasa are all in with a shot. The Enduro is underway for the men as 22 of them go storming into the waters of the Red Sea. Swim, bike, run, swim, bike, run, swim, bike, run as well. And again, it's those in the middle who have taken the lead going into this one. Look out for the Sharks of Chase McQueen, Taylor Reid, and of course the Eagles, Jamie Riddle and Matt Hauser are also very much in the swim. They actually had a swim off the other day, and Jamie Riddle won that one just, was over 120 metres, and he won the lion's share of $5,000 US. So I don't know where all this money's coming from, but I like it.
You can see 2 Eagles as well right at the front there, so I am going to assume that is the 2 best swimmers in that team, Jamie Riddle and Matt Hauser. Can't discount the young Dan Dixon, he's also a fantastic swimmer too, but I think it is those 2 we see heading into the first turn, boys, so that's exactly where they want to be at this point. They know they've got a lot of work to do.
If Jamie Riddle can finish in the top 3, he secures the $15,000 for the best swimmer, and he is leading at the moment, so it's in his hands, and we're going to head down now to the Eagles manager, Tim Don. We'll ask him about those 8 points, so I hope Andy Emerson will. Let's find out.
Really sorry, Tim, I've got to ask you about the 8 points that you picked up in the women's race, because Will McCloy wants to know.
You know what, Will? 8 points is a heck of a lot better than 7. That's all I can say. Listen, it's tough racing out there. It just goes to show the difference between the top and people who have bad days.
Maybe a different story in the men's race, though, Tim. And at the moment, your swimmers are looking very strong at the front of the swim.
That's it. It's interesting. We got the middle slot, which wasn't the best one. But again, the Bahrain Victorious took it out hard, and we've done the same. I think, again, we're going to see a direct line to the shore, but they're going to push it because the line is behind me. All on.
Great stuff.
Just letting him sweat there for a couple of seconds, Andy Emerson. Very interesting technique to make sure the managers stay on their toes, because they can get a bit lippy from time to time. And it looks like Riddle at the front. It's your team, mate.
Yeah, he's having another superb swim as usual. I think he had a lot to live up to after his victory in the 150-metre swim-off that they had the other day. Going double the distance here. And
oh, wow. Hauser getting held back badly there from McQueen. And then I think Brownlee behind him as well. He really found himself in the chop, and he's gone backwards from 2nd to 6th.
There was a Scorpion on the side of him there as well. I'm not entirely sure which one that was, but he seemed to get completely sandwiched between the 2 of them as they went round that buoy, and he's lost a lot of ground there.
I think that's Kenji Nina, who's sitting on the hip, or sitting on the shoulder of Chase McQueen, and Matt Hauser has been swallowed up, and now he is part of that group that is 3 abreast with, I think, Taylor Reid and Johnny Brownlee, but it's Jamie Riddle at the front, and if he can cross the mountain line after transition first, he'll pick up the 15 grand because he's already 8 points to the good, and he knows that too as he sprints up the beach like David Hasselhoff. And here are the chasers, Taylor Reid there, Matt Hauser as well. And no, is that Tyler Mislichuk who's had a fantastic swim?
Tyler has had some brilliant swims throughout his career, but he has struggled at times as well. And today he really seemed to pull it out the bag, second out the water, and maybe he's going to secure a short shoot for the Scorpions. And we know that the points matter.
It does indeed. It affects the course of a race and nearly handed Sophie Colwell the win. If Jamie Riddle can cross the mountain line first, he's going to pick one up for the Eagles. It looks like he will do that, although he's run into Kenji Nina. Who's going to cross first? And it's a sprint for it. And it looks to me like Riddle has beaten out the cheaters. And that's true, as you can see, Michael Thompson holding up. He was right there on the mark. And Hayden Wilds at the back of a big pack as they all mount. And Riddle will pick up the 15,000 US unless someone can swim faster than him in the second swim. But I imagine that that's not going to happen.
It would be pretty phenomenal to see someone do the fastest swim of the day on the second swim, especially in the format that we've got here with the Enduro. No breaks between any of the rounds. It's a bit different maybe in some of the other formats that we do in Super League, for example, the triple mix, but not so much with the Enduro. That fatigue is there after round one and you just don't get a chance to break.
It's also really hot and windy out there today, and I think this first round actually takes a lot out of you. The girls especially went off really hard, and I wonder if the men will do the same, just attack really hard and try and split the race from the off.
When have they ever not tried to do that? They all get very testosterone-y.
That's very true.
Yeah.
No sense in these lot.
No quarter asked for or given, and a big group. All teams represented in that, and at the front,
very different really to what we saw at the beginning of the women's race, where at this point already Sophie Colwell had broken away and rode this whole leg on her own, whereas now we see a group there of, gosh, that's got to be 10 to 15 athletes in there, more than. So we've got most of the field really already made it into that front pack. So very, very different to the dynamic we saw just a few moments ago in the women's race.
It's Johnny Brownlee, I think, who was just pushed off into the sand momentarily there. Yeah, it is Brownlee on the right as Kenji Nina takes the front spot as they hit the first of the two 180-degree turns, and just about everyone is represented in that group. So there's 20 athletes there, I'd say.
Yeah, pretty much everyone has made it, haven't they? But now they go into that headwind, so it's imperative that you don't let that sort of concertina effect hit you too hard, otherwise you're going to be distanced before you even get going in this race.
I'm interested to see where the two Saudi athletes are. Abdul Rahman Al-Khamdi and Al-Sharif Faisal Al-Harith. There's one out there on the bike. So the 90-second rule will not be their friend as they head into transition, because it is hard graft out there, I imagine, heading into that headwind all by yourself as opposed to in the effectively peloton at this point.
Non, would you say there's an echelon sort of effect that helps you out there? Is there a bit of a crosswind? We see that it all slammed it over into this gutter now. We noticed that especially on the final round of the women's race that they were doing a bit of an echelon in that front pack. Is that something you noticed out there today?
Yes, definitely. Your position on the road and within the pack can have a huge difference on the race. I think on the first couple of rounds, the front rider on the front was trying to ride as far right as possible when heading in this direction, so that the other riders behind weren't getting any protection. If you're at a point where you're trying to work together, then yes, you'd move a bit further left and let everyone echelon off you, so that everybody in the group was getting a bit of a rest. But if you want to be a bit cheeky, slam it in the gutter.
So a lot of headwind, but also a bit of crosswind out there today as well.
Yes, definitely. I'd say a head cross for these lot right now. The only time you have a tailwind is when you're coming back down onto the gravel. It's the only bit of freewheeling you get.
Yeah, so I just got to wonder why Beth Potter was on the left-hand side of the road and giving everyone a run at it.
We sort of saw Beth making possibly a slightly interesting tactical choice. She was on the other side of the road, allowing the other girls in her pack to echelon off her, whereas if she'd slammed it right across to the other side, as we've seen the men do here, it would have prevented them from gaining that benefit against her.
Yeah, she obviously just misread the conditions there, and maybe that's a bit of experience playing into the hands of the other girls that have been racing a bit longer.
Well, these packs seem to have, not decisively, but split a little bit. There seems to be 3 to 4 little packs already developing on the bike. And again, that just shows the effect, I think, of that crosswind coming over them. If you're not in quite the right position, if you're not tucked in the echelon nicely enough, then, you know, you're going to get found out. And it seems that very early on in this race, we're seeing that already.
Yeah, you really can't underestimate how tough it is coming up into that headwind. It really tests you, and if you're a little bit on the limit, you're out the back straight away.
Johnny Brownlee finding the going a little bit easier than some of the others. He moves to the front of this race, and it seems like with each race now, Brownlee is getting a bit of that old Brownlee confidence back after having that crash in Leeds and then racing a couple of races which, by his own admission, he was going a bit soft in. He was worried about his injury, obviously, but he's come back. He had a great race in Cagliari, led, and I guess it's now... It looks like the Johnny Brownlee who's ready to shape a race, who's ready to form a race to his own will, as we've seen him do so many times in the past. And he did that in Cagliari, ultimately delivered Alex Yee the win. But this time he leads off the front.
Yeah, Johnny will be thriving on a course like this, I'm sure. Like, he won't be scared of these different conditions. He'll be almost excited, I imagine, to ride this gravel and to potentially try and expose some of the people. Something we did just notice is Hayden Wilde was right at the back of this pack. He might well have moved up a little bit now as they come into transition, but you could see the helmet, the distinctive helmet. I think that is him now back into this pack, but he was a little bit distanced as they went around that U-turn.
Vasco Velasquez, the first man in, and of course another short shoot on the line for whoever can cross the mount line first. And heading out onto the run, there is Wild, who's had to work his way through some people. Hauser as well, the other man at the top of the standings, but Velasquez will earn a short shoot for Ronnie Schildknecht. And the Eagles, Taylor Reid, Sergio Baxter, Johnny Brownlee, Tyler Mislichuk, Matt Hauser, Kenji Nina, Richard Murray having a good race, Emil Holm, Valentin Wernz. And it looks like there could be... What's happened with Shachar Sagiv? It looks like he's got a hamstring.
He doesn't look like he's running comfortably there at all,
does he?
Fell
On the way into transition, and he's dropped off the back. We'll see if we've got a replay of that. So we'll look for the orange, and there he's been forced into the barrier and disappeared over the edge. No room whatsoever for Shachar Sagiv. Well.
That really was a little bit nasty, but hopefully he can recover himself a little bit on this run.
At the front, the Tokyo Test event winner, Tyler Mislichuk, who's had a bit of a difficult 12 months, but is back in some form, and he's now tucked in behind Johnny Brownlee, three-time Olympic medalist. Neither of those teams have the short shoot. They go to the Eagles and the Rhinos, and in the middle of the race will be found out who the team managers have nominated to take them. And Taylor Reid and Matt Hauser, who are second and third in the championship standings, are third and fourth right now.
Yeah, Matt Hauser tucked in there. He wasn't quite as far forward at the end of that swim due to what seemed to be a bit of either a dunking or a pull back that he might have suffered around that final turn, boy, but he's put himself firmly in the mix at this point as Johnny Brownlee seems to be stretching this group apart. You know, there's about 10 athletes there that were really, really tightly bunched at the beginning of the run, and Johnny is absolutely taking this on. You can tell the confidence and how he's feeling.
Right, we'll head down now to Annie Emerson, who has Michael Buchek, who is the Cheetah's assistant manager, and we're very happy with Johnny Brownlee.
Oh, wow, Buchek, it's all going on out there. At the moment, let's just talk about Johnny Brownlee because he looks to be in great shape.
Yeah, I mean, fantastic for the Johnny. I mean, like, he stay on the other side of the road where other couldn't draft off him. So, yeah, he wants us to stay on the front to be out of the trouble. He also tried to go for the fastest bike slip. So let's wait for that one, but we'll see.
We're right in the mix down here, and we can really feel the argy-bargy. There's a whole lot of tension going on, as we saw when Sagiv came in and fell off his bike.
Yeah, the Shaka has no good luck. I mean, he tried to squeeze in and he got pushed off the straight line. So we'll see. We're gonna always have to wait for the referee, and we'll see. So
thanks, Michael.
Thank you.
At the turnaround at the 800 metres, and provisionally Vasco Velasquez will be the man who was in a three-way shootout for the bike, $15,000 US, and whoever had the fastest bike out of him, Hayden Wilde and Shachar Sagiv, and that's why Sagiv came in so hot, was going to win the 15K, but Vasco...
Worth it.
Yeah, that's right. Vasco did a 5:33, Hayden Wilde a 5:39, and Sagiv was outside the top 10. So it looks like provisionally, of course, they have another chance in stage 2. It looks like Vasco Velasquez will pick up the 15K. The run leaderboard, you can see Hayden Wilde's a mile in front, so he doesn't need to worry about that. That money is already in his pocket, and there he is, your championship leader, who knows that he only has to finish 14th And at the moment, he's doing it with one eye shut.
I thought that. I was wondering if he's maybe got a little bit of sand in the eye. He doesn't look like particularly comfortable there. And as they were running out to the turnaround, he was a little bit off the back even of this group, but he has made his way right the way through, and he's now tucked himself onto the back of these front few athletes. I say front few athletes, this main group, whereas Johnny is still about 3-4 meters ahead of Matt Hauser, so obviously feeling fantastic today.
He looks really good, and there's about 11 of them in that front group going out, but Johnny's really stretching it here, and I think he's just really, like you said earlier on, riding off the back of his the confidence in Cagliari a few weeks ago, and it's great to see Johnny in the driving seat. I think this is where he's most comfortable. And I think this is how the race might pan out now for the next 2 rounds.
And he will absolutely want this to be whittled down. He's not going to want 10 athletes to go through each round together. He's going to want to have 3, 4, maybe 5 athletes that go together as they go into rounds 2 and rounds 3 of this Enduro. So this is probably a really strong tactic from Johnny. Whittle it down, only have a few people to race with, and see where you can finish at the end of the day.
All right, Emil Holm leads that second pack with Kenji Nina in there, Sergio Baxter, Richard Murray, and they're trying to hang on to this front 5 of Brownlee, Hauser, Wild, Mislachok and Balasa, and we are down to 20 men with the 2 Saudis, Al Sharif Fazal Al Harith and Abdul Rahman Al Gamdi, both eliminated. It's the second time we've seen Al Harith actually took on the Arena Games with 10 days notice after being nominated by the Saudi Triathlon Federation, the man from Jeddah, 30 years of age. And he's had his second taste of Super League and his first of championship racing. And, of course, a lot of the athletes heading to Jeddah tomorrow, actually, to do a clinic with some of the local Saudi kids, trying to promote multi-sport in the region, as Johnny Brownlee leads Matt Hauser into the water for the second time. And Brownlee will be looking to stick with Hauser, who is a supreme swimmer. Now a group of 10.
Hayden Wild didn't have quite as good a transition there as we're used to seeing from him. He's normally absolutely clinical and very, very smart at making sure he is the first athlete back into the water in each of these races. He wasn't quite able to do that, and instead Matt Hauser and Johnny Brownlee were the first ones into the water. Now, you don't want to let those two get away if you are Hayden Wild, because those two can go together all day long, and this is where their strength in the swim could be decisive, and it could cause a split.
Let's go. Go on.
Brownlee came across the mountain line first, then picking up the final short shoot, which has been awarded to him as well. So he has earned himself a short shoot with that run. The other two, the Eagles and the Rhinos, have yet to nominate their athlete who will pick up the short shoot. But just an update there, Non?
Despite the gaps that we saw going in, they seem to have already come straight back together. Yeah, so I think that's Hayden Wild in third, so he's straight back on the feet of Johnny Brownlee. And you just never know with Hayden, you know, he can close gaps and reappear back at the front like nobody have ever known.
Yeah, I mean, his swim, I guess, over the years has been relatively inconsistent, and at times he's come out right near the back, but then we've also seen some absolutely fantastic swims from him. And even when we look back at the beginning of this year's series in London, he was so smart on that final round of the triple mix, the way he sat on Matt Hauser's hip, didn't let Matt Hauser get away from him, and that ultimately earned him the win that day. So you can never think that he's not thinking about where he needs to put himself and how to tactically gain an advantage on his competitors.
Hauser just has a beautiful swim stroke, slicing through the water and taking Johnny Brownlee with him as they string out, heading to the second turn buoy. Beautiful water to swim in here in the Red Sea. Very salty, very buoyant, and very quick as well, and not as much chop as there was yesterday as well. It seems to be the way that you guys have on the worst of the wind, and then it dies down a little bit for the men. That doesn't seem fair.
Well, we're just a bit tougher, aren't we? So they put us out first to deal with the tougher conditions and then send the men out.
They are the winners of the short shoot. Who they are nominated to is yet to be decided. So we will find out. Each of those teams at the bottom right of your screen get a short shoot that can be handed out by the team manager to anyone. And Michael Gilliam was a genius in the first race, not giving it to Georgia Taylor-Brown because he knew that she was going to win by 3 metres, and gave it to Cassandra Beaugrand instead. So
yeah, it was
race IQ.
It was very clever from MG. We have to give him credit. We did potentially say that we thought he might have made a mistake, but it appears that he actually knew exactly what was going to happen all along. Who knew?
They're a smart bunch, these team captains, these team managers. They do know what they're doing. They've been around a long time.
Giving them credit, I like
You're
that.
retired now. You don't have a team manager anymore, so you can say whatever you want.
I'm vying for one of the team manager positions.
Positions, okay. They're smart, but they're not as smart as they could be. As Matt Hauser heads up onto the sand, we are now 3 disciplines down, or 4 once you include this swim, which is now finished. And 5 to go to round out season 2022. And look at that view, desolate and beautiful here in Saudi Arabia.
Are they words that often go together?
Why not? Can be desolate and beautiful out here, can it not? Beautiful in a desolate way.
To get back to the race, Hayden Wild was in 4th place actually coming out the water, but so close behind, only a couple of seconds down. He's definitely going to make it into this pack short of a disaster here mounting his bike, and so that really was damage limitation for him, and he's done that very well as he sort of half stumbled onto his bike, but no mishap there.
Hayden Wild's had a good swim there to stay in that position in 4th. There is a gap because Taylor Reid has pushed up with these 3 and they'll want to work together to stay away from the Falcon, who obviously only has to finish 14th or better, and at the moment there's still 20 men in the race. Dan Dixon's been having a difficult one, and Chris Perham as well.
Johnny was incredibly fast getting his feet in his shoes there, which is quite a skill when you haven't got elastic bands on them anymore. And I think he might have done a bit of damage to Hayden Wild there, so it'll be interesting to see if he can get back on.
That's the sight you don't see too often in triathlon. We're going to head down to Annie Emerson, who has the Eagles manager, Tim Don.
Oh, shit, he's gone down.
All right, there's been an accident there, and that looks to be Max Stapley, who's fallen on the end of the black carpet. And that's the second time Stapley has hit the deck just out of transition. Hey, happened in London as well. And Stapley, the cheater, it was already well back, but he has found the deck, so we'll see a replay of that in just a second. He looks to be okay, as Hayden Wild has pushed up onto the back of this group of 3, who now include, here is Stapley, who went to mount but didn't get it right, and it can happen to the best of us.
Very, very close to the mountain line as he actually went for that leap as well, but yeah, that's not what you wanted to happen. And he was also really quite far down at this point already, probably not having his most best day.
Now, and he ruined the Tim Don interview now that we're actually going to try to go to now with Annie Emerson.
Oh, Tim, what a race. Let's talk about Hauser. Let's talk about the series he's had. It's been so up and down, but he's looking good today.
He is looking good. He's putting himself in a position to execute on the final, swim bike run. He's had a tough series, but he's bounced back, and he's going to bounce back again after the crash in front of him in Toulouse. To come here, he's still fighting. He wants to show that he could be at the top of the podium for the series. If not, he'll be looking today. I'm going to give him the short shoot. You heard it here first. Jamie Riddle got the swim as well. I'm really happy with the Eagles. It is awesome racing out there.
Great stuff. Thanks very much, Tim.
All right, there is confirmation that Matt Hauser will pick up the Eagles short shoot. We'll find out whether the Cheetahs one goes to Johnny Brownlee, and those 2 sharks in that pack of 4, Taylor Reid and Hayden Wild, do not have one to give. I can confirm that Jamie Riddle is your swim champion and picks up $15,000 US because no one swam faster than him in the second swim, so congratulations to him. And the team's leaderboard is getting very, very tight as well. At the moment, the Sharks sitting on 388 as it stands, and the Scorpions 382. But right now there's 2 Sharks in the top 4, and there are no Scorpions. So they may indeed overtake them in the end, but right now Matt Hauser is the one leading, and Taylor Reid has just continued to deliver this season. He was routinely eliminated in his previous seasons, and he has found something this season to make him a contender. He may well stand on that podium.
He's been really consistent this year. His results, I think, so far, we've got 8th, 6th, 7th and 5th, which just as a really sort of solid bunch of results puts him in 3rd overall. So he's a real contender for that overall podium. Johnny Brownlee currently sits in 5th overall. Obviously, he's leading this pack right now. There's about 6 points between them, so Johnny needs to beat Taylor by quite a few spots to overhaul Taylor and to take that final podium position from him.
And, of course, the other 2 that look to take those steps on the podium are Wild and Hauser.
And there's only 3 points, we should say, between Matt Hauser and Taylor Reid, so that's anything but a done deal. More than one spot between those two at the end, with the double points that there is at the top of this of the point scoring today, will see Taylor Reid overhaul Matt Hauser. So neither of these athletes can afford any hiccups, any missteps before the end of the race.
It's perfect that they're all in the front pack together as well, just making it even more exciting and, you know, exactly what we expect and want from Super League racing, right to the wire.
We had it in the women's race and we've got it again in the men's. It's the perfect grandstand finish to our series this year.
And there is so much more to come in 2023. Make sure you stay on social media and the website for everything that is going to unfold next year, which is just going to get bigger and better for Super League Triathlon. But right now, it's about crowning our champion, discovering our podium, and handing out the rest of the $1.4 million in prize money as they head through the desert. And Chase McQueen in the chase pack. And Riddle is your swim champion. There he is in that pack as well. And congratulations to the South African, who has been a bit of a revelation, especially in the water, but has gotten better and better in the other disciplines as well, to sit currently in 9th position on, you know, in his debut year in Super League, which so often can be a difficult one for athletes. Onto the black carpet again, Johnny Brownlee, the triple Olympic medalist. Nice dismount from all 4 men as they head out onto the run for the second time.
Amazing race, good job,
Johnny Brownlee always looks so calm, gets it right, and all 4 have had a good transition.
Nothing to split them. Look at them, literally one behind another. Probably a second splits all 4 of those athletes as they head out onto this run now. So yeah, this is going down to the wire.
You almost can't see any of them breaking the others at this point. They're all such strong athletes. And it could be exactly like this in another swim, bike and runs time as they head back down that dirt onto the black carpet.
I do wonder if somebody like Hayden Wild will make a bit of a move on this run. He's pretty, you know, he's pretty brave, he's pretty bold, and he is known for sort of pushing on pretty hard when others least expect it or least want it to happen. So I wouldn't be surprised when they go into that tailwind if he tries to push on a little bit.
We saw him being Georgia being very, very tactical on the final round in the women's enduro, and I just wonder if Hayden's being relatively savvy now. He's thinking, I don't need to lead the race yet, I just need to, or he doesn't even need to, but wants to lead it as he comes to the tape at the very end. And so I wonder if maybe he's just doing enough right now to keep himself in contention, and then he'll really put the hammer down on that final leg.
I think that is the difference between Hayden Wild of 2019 and Hayden Wild of 2022, is that he's just got a little bit more, well, it's just more experience, more race IQ, and and he's just been so incredibly consistent over the course of this, while other people have had accidents, have had mishaps, have found themselves caught up. We'll head down now to Annie Emerson, who has Stuart Hayes, who's got 2 sharks in the top 4.
Stuart, you couldn't have wished for more. You've got 2 in the top 4. You've got your main man and he's got help.
Yeah, I have got my main man, but he's not looking as fresh as usual. I mean, Johnny Brown is really pushing the pace today. I mean, I knew he had it in him, but he's coming through. But Hayden will give it everything, and I think he's just starting to warm into things. He's like a diesel engine. He gets faster as the race goes on.
What does it mean to him, though, having Taylor Reid in there, his teammate? You know, it's a bit of a backup if things go wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's like the Brownie Boys who were back in the day. Those 2 are like brothers. They're racing out there as a little team. But still, it's Super League. Anything can happen, and you have to be really switched on.
Fingers crossed.
Okay, cheers, thanks.
Just as we say that, I think Taylor Reid's been spat out the back of this trio, and it is because Johnny Brownlee is pushing the pace, Non.
Yeah, definitely. They're into a really big headwind and a slight uphill here, and I think as soon as you get detached from a group, you're just going to fall backwards. But hopefully he gets taken up by that group behind and has a bit of help. But this is Taylor Reid. He's a very good swimmer, so let's not call it a day yet. He might be able to swim his way back on.
It's the same. We've seen Matt Hauser do that before. We saw him do it in Munich. He was off the back of that front group going into the final swim. He put in a huge swim, got back about 15 seconds onto the group. And Taylor Reid is another phenomenal swimmer, so he really could put himself back in contention at the end of the final swim.
Confirmation that Vasco Vilasa is your bike champion and picks up $15,000. His stage 1 time was enough to add enough points for him to win the overall. Shot chance to give really hammered in. And then look at that, he picks up the short shoot as well for the Eagles. Also confirmation that Johnny Brownlee has a short shoot for the Rhinos. So out of this group of 3 at the moment, Johnny Brownlee's the only one with the short shoot. Matt Hauser could get one from Tim Don. Actually, in fact, he said in the interview that he will give it to him. So Matt Hauser has one as well. And your series potential champion, Hayden Wilde, does not. So those 2 men up front both have one. And there you can see it being handed over to Matt Hauser. So Velasa picks up 15 grand. Shacha Sagiv tried his best in the first stage to steal that one, and then he went close in the second stage as well, absolutely hammered it, but he couldn't do quite enough. So Vasco Velasa gets it.
That was the closest battle we had going into this final round today as to who was going to win any of these points jerseys and the $15,000. It was on the men's bike. They were incredibly close at the top, but Vasco Velasa has taken that for the Rhinos, but most importantly for himself, really, because that's where the money goes today. It goes to your own prize fund.
Wish I had a prize fund, or any fund, really. As on the swim caps go, just another one of those little skills that no one who ever did triathlon before Super League would ever really think they would have to know how to do.
No, and he's got his goggles on now, but Hayden Wilde has seemingly ran that whole thing again with his eyes at a real squint. He does seem to definitely not be able to see properly. I just wonder if he has had a bit of kick up of sand, bit of dust get in there that he can't get out now.
Maybe he's just running his goggles on and it wouldn't have happened. Yeah.
Or ride with them. I think that's the problem.
Ride with the goggles.
Yeah, why not?
Well, it's happened before. Anything that could happen does happen, as Johnny Brownlee makes sure his shoes are in the box and heads back into the water for the final time. And just as they were in the last stage, it's Brownlee with Hauser on his hip and Wilde behind them into the water.
And this final swim is critical for Hayden Wilde, not for the overall championship, short of a disaster, some kind of crash, which we don't really want to foresee. Hayden Wilde will be our overall series champion in 2022, but to take the day victory, Hayden, who got into the water fantastically there, has actually overtaken Johnny Brownlee. He has to be very clever here. He has to make sure that these two phenomenal swimmers, Matt Hauser and Johnny Brownlee, do not distance him. Otherwise, they will get away from him, and that will be his day done.
Reed lost 15 seconds in the last K of that run there, so you can just tell how hard they are actually going, and you know how tired Reed must have been towards the end of that bike. But hopefully he can claw his way back a little bit or hold off that group that's catching from behind.
Well, just talking about that entry into the water, we see Brownlee dive early, Hauser goes with him, and then Wilde takes about 4 more steps before he dives in. And Wilde knows that he's the weakest swimmer out of those 3, and any little advantage to make sure he can stay on the feet, he'll take, and he is on the feet of Brownlee. So just those little 1%ers, and I guess that's a little bit of that race IQ we were talking about with just more racing and just getting those little things right. It's the kind of thing that takes Taylor Spivey to second, along with her athletic ability, and it helps Hayden Wilde because he knows that traditionally he's been not the fastest swimmer.
I think Matty Hauser is putting the hammer down here. I think he knows that for his best chance of shaking off Hayden Wilde and having to only compete against Johnny Brownlee for the win today, he has to go hard now. Hayden is still there. He's still within striking distance. He hasn't been dropped by Johnny Brownlee, but it is strung out now. And there is a little bit of a gap. That's what, about maybe a metre or so that Johnny Brownlee, between the feet of Johnny Brownlee and the hands of Hayden Wilde. Not decisive, but important.
Let's head down to Annie Emerson, who has 3 of our key team managers.
Okay, guys. Tim, come and join me. Hauser has put the hammer down. Looks like they potentially lost Wilde at this stage.
I think he's still there, but we have the short shoot, so Matty Hauser's got the short shoot on the run.
Well, the most experienced athlete in the field is Johnny Brownlee, so he's got a short shoot too, so it's going to be between those 2, I guess.
Stewie, what can Wilde do? He seems to have lost the feet of Johnny Brownlee.
I reckon he's just going to catch him. Just as we're coming in the beach, he's going to find something. He always does. He always does.
Yeah, but not short shoot, so it's too bad for him.
No,
yeah.
he's the best.
No, he's not. Yeah, okay. Sorry, guys.
Great stuff, guys. A little bit more to go, but we're nearly there.
Hayden's doing a really good job here. I thought it was about a metre. I'm going to say it's maybe not even half of that at the moment. So he's really just holding exactly where he needs to be on Johnny Brownlee's feet. He's on the final stretch of this swim now. They've rounded the second turn, boy. If he can stay within 5 seconds of them, I think he'll catch back up to them on the bike anyway. So this has been a brilliant swim from Hayden. Again, tactically clever.
Yeah, up onto the beach they go, and it is Hauser, Brownlee, and then a good swim from Taylor Reid has brought him up to, well, at least he's in shot at the moment, ahead of, or behind Hayden Wild. And Hayden Wild, we've got the bike to go, but he's had the 2 fastest runs of the day. His stage 1 run was the fastest in a 2:53 pace. His stage 2 was the 2nd fastest in a 2:53 pace. He
Very consistent.
A 4:36 and a 4:37. But then the next 4 fastest came from Matt Hauser and Johnny Brownlee, which were all a 2:54 pace. So basically I'm saying nothing at all because they're all extremely quick, and there's nothing in it when it comes to the last run.
That's some very impressive running, especially in these conditions. You know, it's hot, it's windy, and it's...
They're running on gravel too.
That's what I was about to say, they're running off-road.
There's only 7 points in it as it stands, with the Sharks ahead of the Scorpions in the race for the team's money, and Kenji Nina and Tysla Mislachuk will pick up very key points for the Scorpions in 5th and 6th at the moment. Hayden Wild and Taylor Reid obviously looking very good for the Sharks. So that will be decided as well at the end of this race, but there is your podium barring any mishap. It just who is going to take the $20,000 US? That is the question, and Matt Hauser looks like he may just have secured 2nd place in the overall championship series from Taylor Reid.
Yeah, I don't see a way that Taylor Reid can make it back into this front group now. 14 seconds he was behind these 3 as he came out of that final swim, and I just think that's going to be unsurmountable now. He's another nearly 20 seconds ahead of that group behind him, but he's sort of in no man's land. He's going to have to do a lot of the work on his own, especially into this incredibly strong wind that we've spoken about today. So it does look like Maddie Hauser has now secured the 2nd place overall, but we know that he would love to finish this season that's had significant ups and downs for him. We know he'd love to finish it with a win on the day and to take the tape.
Yeah, especially a win over these 2 men. And if you look at those splits and you look at Vasco Valasa in 10th, he's the one with the Rhino short shoot, and he could go from 10th up to 5th by overtaking all those guys. The elimination flag comes out, and it comes out for Shachar Sakir, who gets a hug from the team manager after putting everything out there and taking a spill into the 2nd transition, and he does not look happy about it. It's been a tough time, but he's okay to take a photo with the elimination flag.
Oh, I love that. A bit of good humour. Have a pose with the elimination flag. So interesting here, Johnny Brownlee on the front, but is allowing a bit of space for the athletes behind him, for Matt Hauser and for Hayden Wild, to sort of echelon a little bit here. So these 3 know that actually right now they're in their best interest to work together. They want to stay away from everybody else. So all 3 of them echeloning across the road.
I wonder if it's in Taylor's best interest now to wait for the group behind rather than riding 4K on his own as hard as he possibly can, getting off the bike tired and being run down anyway. So I wonder whether it's better for him to save a bit of energy and potentially have a better run.
Well, he's 20 seconds ahead. Is that too big of a gap to wait?
I don't know how much damage they're gonna do to him. It's that headwind is pretty severe, but
and if they can get that gap down to under 10 seconds, that then when they come off the bike, that easily can be taken out on that final 1.6k if you're feeling the fatigue, the effort of having to basically do a whole round on your own at that point. So a tactical decision that Taylor's got to make for sure.
And it's very hard when you're fatigued and under pressure to make these tactical decisions. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out behind as well, because all the points are crucial at this point.
The only man who really has had much experience at the longer distances after a Collins Cup debut, Hayden Wild, down in the bars. He's the only one who's got some on.
And as we know, the athletes won't actually be able to use those after the 2022 season. So next year we'll see the bikes without these extensions on the front be back down to standard road bikes.
Looks like 3 men going out the long ride, doesn't it? There's no one else around.
In the desert.
In the desert, that's right. And there is Taylor Reid having a lonely old time. And you can see the group behind him as well, just on the edge of your screen on the right. And they're not too far up now from the final dead turn on this course before they head out for 1.6Ks on the run to decide who stands on which step of the podium and who finishes the Super League season with a victory.
It's always good when we get a battle right to the finish line, isn't it? You know, and these three men, the caliber of all three of them, you wouldn't really want to bet against any one of them at this point to have the victory at the end of the day. Johnny Brownlee is the only one who hasn't stood on the podium in the Super League Series this year, but his confidence has got to be up after that fantastic result in Cagliari just a couple of weeks ago.
We're going to head down now to... We were going to head down now to Annie Emerson. We'll wait for that. But we will continue to watch our top three, who have daylight between them and the rest of the contenders. So now it's about conserving for this 1.6 kilometre run. And there'd be a lot of people out there who'd be happy to see Johnny Brownlee on the top step. I can't remember the last time. Has he ever stood on the top step of a Super League podium?
I'm not entirely sure.
I don't think so.
But if he does win today, if he does stand on the top step, he will leapfrog onto the overall series podium as well. That will be enough. If he stands on the top step and Hayden and Matt come second and third in any order, that will be enough.
He'll know that as well. He'll know that, especially with Taylor Reid down the pack now, and he gets swallowed up as well. If Johnny wins, he takes third in the championship. And there's Vasco Velasa, who is your bike champion. Reports of consistent fastest laps across the season, and he puts that money in his back pocket. And for the last time in 2022, they come onto the black carpet. The shoes go on, the helmet comes off. Let's hope Johnny Brownlee remembers to take his helmet off. It's happened before. And we're on to the run. The short shoot for Brownlee, the short shoot for Hauser. No short shoot for Wild, and we are 1,500 metres from the end of the season. Wild will likely be your series champion if he can just finish in the top 14. Brownlee and Hauser taking me back to Mallorca 2018 when it was Brownlee and Vincent Lewis both with the short shoot.
Johnny's really trying to capitalise on the fact that Hayden didn't have a short shoot. He's pushed on really, really hard. And even if it's just a psychological gap, seeing that gap go away can be really, really hard to overcome and to claw back. So it'll be interesting to see if Hayden can get himself back in the race. But if anybody can do it, it's probably Hayden Wild.
Well, it's exactly the same, really, as we saw in the women's race with Sophie Coldwell. That was the tactic she spoke about in her interview after the race. She said, I went out really hard. I knew I had the short shoot. Tried to steal a march on them through T2, which she did. And both of these two athletes at the front, as we see Matt Hauser put daylight between him and Johnny Brownlee, these two had the short shoot. Hayden Wild did not. And they went out even seemingly with more purpose than Hayden on that run. He didn't seem quite his usual self as he went out onto the run. Never write him off. It's Hayden Wild. He knows what he's doing. But right now, these gaps are starting to grow.
Well, Matt Hauser has just put the foot down, and so many times we've seen Johnny Brownlee in a two-man race on the run at the end of a Super League race, and each time it's been Alex Yee who has bested him, it's been Vincent Lewis who has bested him, and this time potentially it could be Matt Hauser, who has had a torrid time in Super League in season 2022. He was on the wrong end of a decision about a false start in London. He managed to come back to the podium there. He had a crash. He has been involved in a crash in front of him, which cruelled his race as well in Toulouse. The crash was in Malibu. And it is a hard sport, isn't it? As Maximilian Sperl is finding out. Yeah. And now, could he end on a high? Matt Hauser deserves to do that because he has fought back consistently from mistakes, some of his own, some not. And managed to put himself in second place overall.
He's shown amazing resilience throughout the series, really. He's had some bad luck, as you said, some of his own making, some completely not his fault. And the days when he hasn't had that bad luck, he's really shown what he's made of. Even in London, after being wrongly awarded that penalty, he came back to second. In Munich, he was off the back of the pack, swam his way back on in the final round to win on the day. Unfortunately, that crash in Malibu, which he's owned up to as being completely his own fault, that took him out of contention for the overall series. Toulouse, crash in front of him. Unfortunately, that again played into his result on the day, but even then he still battled his way back to fourth. Today, a day where there's been nothing in his way, there's been no problems, no disasters. He looks set for the win now. That gap looks huge from our angle.
Yeah, he's constantly stretching away, and you know, Hayden still hasn't come into the picture either. So I think Hayden's also suffering and not making any ground on Johnny. So it wasn't sort of the sprint finish that maybe we predicted and we expected, but this is absolutely fantastic from Matt, and just shows what a force he's going to be over the years to come.
Absolutely correct, and with each little setback it has fueled the fire, and it looks like Taylor Reid has been caught and passed by that group with Richard Murray, so it looks like potentially Johnny Brownlee is going to still jump into third in the championship, even with second place overall. So Taylor Reid is going to relinquish a championship podium, I think, by virtue of being caught by that big group. Johnny Brownlee will vault his way up into third, so the top three in this race will be your top three in the championship as well. But it'll be Wild, then Hauser, then Brownlee. But forget that for a minute, because right now, after every single setback, after penalties against him, after crashing whilst in the lead, after having people crash in front of him as well, Matt Hauser has fought back and deserves this. The Australian with his second race win of the season, and the first men's race in NEOM is done, and it goes to an Aussie. Matt Hauser is your winner, and he deserves it, and you can see how much it means to him. There is your championship winner as well, who wraps it up, and in between, Johnny Brownlee vaults from 6th overall onto the championship podium with a second place. But the man that they could not catch was the Falcon. The Falcon wings fly here in the desert, and Hayden Wild is your series champion.
Very well deserved as well. 3 first places across the series, a second place followed by that third place today. Not off the podium on any day of the series. Very worthy Super League champion.
A big group led by Vasco Velasa, who outsprinted Tyler Mislachuk for 4th and 5th, ahead of Kenji Nina, Sergio Baxter and Richard Murray, who's had his best race of the season as well.
How important was that short shoot that Vasco Velasa had there with that sprint finish? That looks to have given him a good couple of places and important points.
Now, Ronnie Schildneck also showing the race IQ. So the team manager jobs are starting to run out. So Non-Stanford is starting to worry about whose job she's going to take now.
Could I be a co-manager, maybe?
A co-assistant coach.
Who's looking for an assistant coach?
I think we could figure that out. Now, Taylor Reid has finished 10th in the end after contending throughout. That drops him off the podium, and it could also mean some serious issues for the Sharks in terms of the teams overall, as Ryan Fisher comes across the line in his final race of his career and is congratulated for an 11th place finish. He said to me, it's going to be a short one. I'm going to get eliminated after the first swim, bike and run, but he finished 11th. Just like you said the same thing, and you finished 11th on Stanford.
It's the power of the retirement promise, I think.
Go out on top, cause yourself as much pain as possible, be in the entire race,
11th.
and help your team to 8 points.
Maybe I brought in 1 or 2 of those 8.
Indeed.
But like Tim said, it's better than 7.
Yeah, well, what you say is I've brought in 20 or 30% of the team's points. That's what you need to say.
Yeah, I believe you actually did bring back 6 of the 8 points, Non. So
Indeed.
Strong congratulations.
I'll take that.
There you go. Well, Matt Hauser has done it. Johnny Brownlee, second. Hayden Wild from Vasco Velasa. Again, the cream rises to the top. Tyler Mislachuk didn't look too well just then, staining the black carpet. We're going to take a pause. But how good was that racing?
Kenji, what a race. Maybe not the one you wanted, but in the end, you raced so hard.
Yeah, look, I mean, I was so emotional yesterday. I actually struggled this morning and slept twice after waking up because I was just so flat. I think it was just emotional. I was just so sad yesterday after tapering and doing my utmost just to try and deliver another podium. But I did my best today. Thank you so much, guys.
We know you had a little bit of a mishap in the swim yesterday when you stood on some coral. I guess that must have set you back a bit too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It was actually so painful, but I mean,
you warrior.
You've won the team. I can tell you've won the team. Does that make it any better?
Yeah, it does, absolutely. Look, I mean, I gave it absolutely everything down to the last sprint. I'm just so grateful to be a part of Super League. It's such a great team. Thank you so much.
Oh. Taylor, you've entertained us today, mate. You really have. You raced so hard. It was the best I've ever seen you race. You've had to settle for second overall, and you've fallen off the podium.
Yeah.
Oh, tell me how you're feeling.
Oh, I'm pretty gutted, you know. Like, I just lost my individual podium, and we lost the team podium. Like, that is heartbreaking. Like, really hurts, but shit, there's nothing we can do about it. Like, we bled out there today. We bled for the team, and I am cooked. Like, I got caught in no man's land, and unfortunately I had nothing left on that run. The desert is unforgiving. It was out here, we're like racing on Mars. It was awesome, but relentless.
Great stuff, Taylor. Listen, commiserations, but still an outstanding championship series for you.
Thank you. Be back next year.
Apologies for the language there, but a very emotional Taylor Reid, and he is right. 10th position in the end means that he drops off the individual championship podium, and the Scorpions win the team by 2 points, 385 to 383. So the finish of Tyler Mislichuk, the finish of Kenji Nina, and the efforts of all the women's as well has kept the Scorpions in front, and they have nicked it at the death, and that is an incredible result in the end. 120,000 US goes to the Scorpions team to be shared amongst the team. Matthew Hauser, though, will wrapped up second with a win, his second, so he picks up 20 grand for that and 35 grand for second overall. Jonathan Brownlee steals Taylor Reid's third position, and Vasco Velasa finished in fourth in the end. He could have been a little bit higher up had it not been for a tough outing in Toulouse. Tyler Mislichuk, who I think was a little bit, well, he Mislichucked on the carpet just then. And we saw, I hope he's okay.
That's a really bad dad joke, but...
Yeah, but you liked it. You laughed. You both laughed.
But yeah, unfortunately, we did see Tyler really suffering at the end of the race. But it just goes to show how absolutely brutal it is out there and how much these athletes give for not only their own performance, but for their team. And for Tyler, I'm sure sharing that $120,000 will make it worth it.
Yes, it will, but you can see Michelle Dillon there, who's not looking too happy, having led just about the entire time. But we're going to head down now to Annie. You can see her there. And there is Tim Don, who had a better run in the Eagles men's race.
We are blown away with that performance. How do you feel, though, as Hauser's manager?
Oh, I'm over the moon for the fella. I mean, he's got 2 wins, an elimination in the series, a tough call in the first race. He never gives up, and yeah, he was the strongest man today, so I'm really proud of him.
You've spoken to him. How's he feeling?
He's chuffed. I mean, to finish like this with a few more races of the year, he knows he's a genuine contender for the series overall. He finished second in the series with an elimination.
And he's actually feeling all okay after this race because he put in a massive effort.
He's good. I mean, yeah, I mean, he's looking forward to have a nice cold beverage. But yeah, I mean, he said he loved the course. He loved the uniqueness of it here in NEOM. So yeah, he's all up for it.
Thanks. Congratulations, Tim.
Well, a much happier Tim
Laura,
Don, and why not? Of course, managing Matt Hauser to the victory. And so congratulations to him, and we hope you enjoyed this incredible series. There's been so many twists and turns, and there are the Sharks discussing how possibly they could have had the title stolen from them. Of course, they still pick up $15,000 each, so it's not as if all the money, because the total team prize pot is something like, well, I think it's $300K. So there's money all the way down, and every single one of these athletes who've competed in all 5 races will pick up some, but instead of 20K each or 15K each, I think they get 10K each.
Yeah, so there is a drop-off, but let's not feel that they're going home with nothing. They are, of course, taking home a decent chunk of money each, but with it only being 2 points that was decisive at the end of the day. And, you know, that was the difference between Hayden Wilde coming third and Hayden Wilde coming second today. You know, that is how close we're talking about in terms of these overall points. So no doubt they will be a little bit disappointed not to take home the overall win, because an extra few $1,000s is always nice in the bank account.
Chris McCormack is back at home in Australia, where it's just a little bit after midnight, and he hasn't messaged yet, but he will be gloating back there in Cronulla, where he is at the moment, about stealing that from Michelle Dillon.
Well, and I can't wait to hear from MG. I'm sure we're going to get some spicy interview words from MG, who, as he did say, never in doubt. He was very confident. There's been some fighting talk from him today, but he has been supremely confident. And what can you say? He was right all along.
Absolutely was. The Sharks are having their team debrief, as are the Cheetahs over on the left-hand side. You can see the red of all the Scorpions as well, just in the distance there as they all mill around and get ready for some podiums as well. And it's been really interesting. We should say that the first place team price is 120 grand, 80 grand for second, 60 grand for third, 40 grand for fourth, and 20 grand for fifth. So what do you get there, Non? Where did you finish? Fourth. So you're going to pick up a lazy 5K.
Well, we can't complain at that, can we?
No.
You know?
No.
I think we'll all be pretty happy. We're a pretty young team, and I think everyone is going to be, you know, I think we were probably the lowest ranked team coming into Super League, so to come out in fourth, I think we're going to be delighted.
Ah, the Rhinos. Cellar dwellers for the second straight year.
I know, 2 years in a row for Ronnie Schilnack. What's he going to do? I mean,
$2.5 grand each.
Yeah, even with the stardom of Taylor Spivey and how well she's done through this series, that just hasn't quite been enough. So 2 from 2 on the wooden spoon for Ronnie. So he's got some work to do in the 2023 season.
And Non, just quickly, I mean, we're getting to the podiums in just a second, but just another reflection, if you will, on ending here. I mean, you probably would never have thought I'll do my last race in somewhere like this, but it's been an experience. And I did hear you say SLT allowed you to go out surrounded by your friends and having a fun time, and that's really why we all get into sport in the first place.
Yeah, 100%. I'm so grateful to Super League for having me along on this journey once again, and yeah, to do it alongside some of my best friends in the sport and some, you know, fantastic world-class ladies is such a privilege, and I couldn't ask for a better way to go out. So thank you, and thank you to everyone who supported me throughout this series and throughout my career.
Thank you very much, Non. Thanks for being part of the commentary as well. Time now for the men's medal ceremony.
The medal presentation for the men's race. Please welcome the medalists. The silver medal will be presented by Managing Director of NEOM Sport, Jan Peterson. The bronze and gold medals will be presented by the Executive Board Member of the Saudi Triathlon Federation, Mishari Alaid. In third place, representing the Sharks, Hayden Wild. In second place, representing the Cheetahs, Jonathan Brownlee. In first place, and 2022 Super League Triathlon Championship Series NEOM winner, representing the Eagles, Matthew Hauser. Ladies and gentlemen, please make some noise for your Championship Series NEOM medalists.
Well, Matt Hauser, a deserving winner, and Hayden Wild will know that he's about to stand on the championship podium top step, and that's something he has been working towards and prioritising very much at the back end of season 2022, and it really feels as though Hayden Wild's personal journey as an athlete and his personal growth has been inextricably linked to Super League Triathlon. I remember when he was fresh on the scene and suddenly we were like, there's a young Kiwi kid who just out-sprinted Mario Mola in Jersey, and it was very excitable. The sixth position, put everything into it, and now he stands head and shoulders above the others at the top of the men's leaderboard. 74 points and an almost flawless performance. He was the run championship leader as well. Matt Hauser and Johnny Brownlee are your top three. Vasco Velasa and Taylor Reid ended up finishing in the top five, from Kenji Nina and Emil Holm, who finished well alongside Chase McQueen in 7th and 8th.
Johnny Brownlee, after a tricky start to the season, what does it mean to you to come and finish third overall and second here today in NEOM?
Yeah, well, what a year and what a series. It's been a bit of a roller coaster, and the year started so well and then tell me injury, ruled me out my main name, the Commonwealth Games. to now finish this in second today and third overall, I'm really, really proud of that. I love Super League racing, I love the format, and this still confirms I can still be a contender, and hopefully I can be in 2 years' time.
Everyone was saying out there that you really do look like the Johnny Brownlee of old. Do you feel like the Johnny Brownlee of old?
Yeah, the last few weeks it's just clicked, and what it is I'm not sure, and I genuinely believe after coming back from a crash it wouldn't take this long to get that confidence back, and hopefully people can learn from that. I genuinely believed I'll jump on my bike, I'll be able to get back to racing, fly around corners, but I can't do that, and it took me a while.
Great stuff. Massive congratulations, Johnny Brownlee. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're right, you're right.
Matt Hauser, you absolutely took our breath away there on that final run. How does it feel to finally nail it?
I'm smashed. I'm absolutely smashed. That course tore me to bits, and Johnny was really smashing the pace up front those first two legs, and I was just hanging on, and I didn't believe I could do it until I got on that last run and got that short shoot thanks to Jamie, my good friend and my teammate. He secured that for me, and I don't know, I've never dug so deep in my life, and vomiting at the end, and yeah, everything.
Just tell me, what did it feel like those last few hundred metres when you knew you were clear of Johnny Brownlee?
Well, I don't know, just like an accumulation of things. Like, just it's been a dramatic series for me, and I was just so thankful to be able to finish it off on top, and yeah, second overall, which I'm very grateful for.
Massive congratulations, Matt Hauser. Oh, wow. Hayden Ward, let's talk about the brilliance of your series. You have won the championship series, but perhaps today wasn't quite the race that you wanted to finish it off with.
No, it was, I just got outclassed today. Those boys were extremely strong, and I was actually feeling quite well in the water, staying in touch really nicely. It was the first time, but bike and run, I just wasn't there today with them. Those boys were on fire today. Johnny was just pushing, and man, yeah, they deserve first and second. I was just stoked to hold on for a third.
Just tell me what it feels like to be here. The final race in NEOM, this is pretty special.
Yeah, it's definitely it's an experience, you know, for everyone. Having the gravel, being kind of in the middle of nowhere, but the atmosphere is absolutely amazing. It's really nice to finish here in some nice, lovely, warm weather, and yeah, it's been a massive journey, and it's really nice to finish here and get the series done.
Very happy for you, Hayden. Well, congratulations, you are the series champion.
The series champion, the Desert Falcon, he did it through supreme consistency, and now he will stand on the top step and be your series winner. It's time now for the championship ceremony for the men.
The men's championship. Please welcome the championship winners. The checks will be presented by Chairman of Super League Triathlon, Leonid Bogolovsky. In third place, representing the Cheetahs, Jonathan Brownlee. In second place, representing the Eagles, Matthew Hauser. In first place, and 2022 Super League Triathlon Championship Series winner, representing the Sharks, Hayden Wild. Ladies and gentlemen, please make some noise for your Super League Triathlon Championship Series winners.
Well, there you go. What a result and what a series it has been. But the accolades don't finish there. Not only does Super League reward the best overall triathletes, we also reward the best over each single discipline. The swim, bike and run discipline champions are awarded points for fastest laps at each event. with each overall winner picking up $15,000 US, and we've confirmed each of them. Extra cash on the line for athletes who are, I guess, excellent at one discipline that can change the course of a race, like a climber or a sprinter in the Tour de France, rather than those going for the overall win. And it came down to the line here in NEOM, as you know, in 5 of the 6 discipline races. And there's been quite the war of words between those involved over the last couple of months, especially in the men's. And it's time now to crown our single discipline champions.
Ladies and gentlemen, the presentation for the swim, bike and run winners.
So the 15,000
our swim champions, Cassandra Beaugrand and Jamie Riddle.
Cassandra Beaugrand was the clear swim winner in the end. Jamie Riddle was even more clear as well. Congratulations to the South African who debuts well. And Beaugrand was pushed by Sian Rainsley, and she's going to have to go around and pick up the run winner check. But right now, they've done a bike together. I bet you that was Vasco's idea. And now Georgia is extremely embarrassed.
I think she kicked the check there, so I think she feels a bit like it was Vasco's great idea and she maybe regrets going along with it.
Are they going to run? Yeah, although they're running together, at least Hayden is. There you go, Cassandra and Hayden Wild, who was so far in front. I think he was the fastest runner in 4 of the 5 races, and then he was the 3rd fastest runner in the other one. But congratulations to our single discipline winners. They were outstanding. Coach as well, Kenji Nina was a big points contributor, and Tyler Mislachuk popped up when it counted as well. Have done the job over the Sharks, whose men were outstanding, as was Beth Potter, especially in the women's. The fan team, the cheaters that you chose, ended up coming 3rd. They pick up the last spot on the podium, with the Eagles led heroically by Non-Stanford. Finish in 4th position ahead of the Rhinos, who lose again. And there are the Scorpions, who have all contributed so well, and what a way to go out. And our teams up the front, and we'll welcome our winners as well right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, the medal presentation for the team championship. Please welcome the championship winners. The checks will be presented by Chief Executive Officer of Super League Triathlon, Michael Dolst, and Chairman of Super League Triathlon, Leonid Bogolowski. In 3rd place, the Cheetahs! In 2nd place, the Sharks! In 1st place, and 2022 Super League Triathlon Championship team winners, Bahrain victorious Scorpions!
Well, there are your champions, $120,000 US. The team's element has just brought the Super League family even closer together. What a finish here in NEOM, and congratulations to Georgia Taylor Brown and to Hayden Wild, who will pick up the Boguslavski trophies as well. On behalf of all of Super League, and on behalf of Vicky Holland, Non-Stanford, Chris McCormack, the entire commentary team, and everyone who works here at Super League Triathlon, we hope you have enjoyed every single minute of the 2022 championship season, and we hope you'll join us for season 2023.